come out of that.
No?
It is a
Do you agree to
combative
get a
tone.
nice one
Nobody will come out of that conversation. Tone is more than just your like actual timbre of voice. Hold on. How many people would come out of that conversation thinking, "Wow, Destiny and Myron seem to agree on quite a bit"?
And how many people would come out of my conversation thinking, well,
careful! You got yourself because you knew how much how foolish you were. Oh my God! Exposed in 8K, 120 FPS. 120 frame rate, 240 refresh rate on monitor, broadcasting live, all of them. He absolutely realized how, like, he knows this. He knows there's a difference when you're talking to Rob Noor and when you're talking to the Vanguard, right? But he conflates it endlessly. It's got to be intentional.
Dodge and weaselness, which I think is horrible and bad, and he should just own one of the positions. But if it's the case that he continues this way, and people say Hassan justified killing babies, by which they're playing on the ethical, that he's a monster because he wants babies dead, then I'm going to be angry at the people who made those claims.
Well, those are two different claims. He does this so much with moral language. God, I wish we had different words with this. Somebody has to correct him eventually. If he's hanging out with Avia and Isaac, you need to correct him. You have to stop mincing words with, like, is it acceptable? Do you want? Is it morally virtuous? Like, these are not necessarily the same things, you know? Like in a way, functionally, you should want people to do virtuous things, but it's like but it's a very unintuitive way to speak about moral things, especially with things that we're talking about that are only justifiable in response to other bad things. So, for instance, is it morally acceptable? Is it morally justifiable to kill someone in self-defense? Yeah, it is. Do you want him to kill him? Well, Jesus fucking Christ, no, I don't want anybody to kill anybody. Oh, so it's not good for him to kill him? Well, I mean, I guess it's good, and so it is good. You want people to do good things, so you want him to kill him. And it's like, damn, I guess strictly speaking, kind of, but like, Jesus, that's like it doesn't feel very good to say that, because we're using the language to obfuscate in certain parts and then to give an impression of other things that aren't actually. I don't really want anybody to kill. I don't want the original situation to happen at all. I don't want anybody to have to kill anybody. But I think it's morally justifiable to do this thing. I think it could be righteous and virtuous to do this thing if you need to as well. Do I want somebody to kill me? Jesus.
And represented this as that. Because this is bad for other reasons. Okay? But it's not because of that, right? Because how it's been presented to me, to be clear, is Hassan wants settler babies to be killed.
That's like the strongest version of the claim. But really what people say is that Hassan thinks it's justifiable to kill anybody in Israel, including children. That's the claim. That's the real claim. Now, in a way, you can kind of sort of boil that down to, like, they want them to be dead because you should technically want everyone. But, like, that's... okay.
But the question here is about what the law allows for.
That's okay. Or maybe in this one it is. JT Chapman is the second thought. Bougie fucking loser guy, but...
And the previous context here makes it clear, I think, that he's dodging. He says that I don't think it's viable. So he's dodging the ethical question. In other words, he's not answering it, not addressing. So, all right, the Hague regulations prohibit the confiscation of private property. The Fourth Geneva Convention prohibits the destruction of private or state property. All right, so let's see. The Fourth Geneva Convention. Actually, let me just watch the whole thing before we get into it. Okay, so, because it's not really relevant, right? Okay, this is why it's not relevant. Grant that Hassan is misstating the law, right? That's not really what we're looking at this clip for. We're looking at this clip for, is it the case that Hassan wants dead settler babies, thinks it's good that settler babies get killed or something, right? That's the question.
This is a matter of law and maybe ethical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality. Palestinians,
if you agree with this as a matter of morality,
have
and law, yeah.
Whatever that says. Technically, the reason why the IDF has to exist in the West Bank and behave in the oppressive manner that they behave is because Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality.
If you agree with this action, a matter of morality. It's a matter of law, and if you agree with it, meaning the action, a matter of morality. I don't think Hassan here saying is, if you agree that this is what the law is, therefore it's good. I don't think that's what it said there.
Oh my god, dude. Why do you guys keep linking me these fucking videos? This is the last one for 1 month and we have to go on a Pisco break. I can't. I'm just going to kill myself for the next hour. Somebody stated this best. I saw a comment in the subreddit where it was like, I think that Pisco could legitimately like run into the Amazon like fucking rainforest and he could run smack dab into a tree and go, oh my god, there's no forest here. It's just a tree. Like that would be like, it's okay. All right, sorry.
I'm just being honest in terms of what I'm hearing.
Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize back their own homes from the settlers. This is a reality, and that is precisely the reason why they have to exist under endless occupation in the West
You know
Bank.
what? And that's why I say, if it was settlers, that would be a lot more understandable. Yeah. But let's not obfuscate, okay? I understand what you're saying. But this dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand. And there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlements.
But the babies that killed were not.
I know.
Okay, so
now
here's
that we established that. No, hold on. Now that we established that, the other school of thought here is that all matter of Israelis living on Israel
Was that it?
proper are a
So just to be clear, like the chain of logic is very clear, right? You have a moral and legal justification to kill Israeli citizens if you're a Palestinian. And then Ethan says, well, what about babies? Well, babies are settlers too, my friend. That's a very clear, very obvious chain of logic that's being used there. It's not only obvious by what he says, it's obvious by what he doesn't say, right? Like, if somebody were to say, like, do you think you have a legal right to have sex with your wife? And it's like, yeah, if you're married, for sure. And it's like, what if you marry a 2-year-old? And it's like, you have a legal and moral ability to have sex with a wife of your choosing. And it's like, so, yes? Like, if somebody were to ask you that for clarification, you didn't have the position that you should be able to marry somebody of any age and have sex, you would immediately clarify, whoa, no, I didn't mean that. Jesus Christ, okay? She's got to be at least 12, okay? We're not saying, let's not be crazy, right? No, right? Joke. You would clarify. So if somebody pops up with the baby settler question, you go, okay, obviously you shouldn't be killing children, right? You wouldn't clarify in the other direction of, well, even babies can be settlers too, my friend, after you justified morally and ethically Palestinians killing settlers.
they're also doing the exact.
So far, he's not saying that it's good that babies get killed, that he wants babies to be killed. None of that even close.
Good or wants? He's saying it's morally acceptable. Good or wants? It's such a weasel intuition pump. I don't know. I can't. 413, I'm watching a 420. I can't go past that. I can't go past 420.
Close.
Exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that
Hang on.
the exact same thing in the they're also doing the exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that is a reasonable solution, and it's not
He doesn't believe it's a reasonable solution.
realistic anyway. And
It's
that
not
only
realistic.
Meaning he's dodging the moral question, which I think Pisco accurately identified earlier. He's dodging the moral question.
will lead to the complete evisceration of Palestinians
And he doesn't want the complete evisceration of Palestinians.
and far
Hence, he doesn't want baby settlers to be killed.
right Israeli.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I think I just cummed! Oh my God, I think I just cummed. Hold on. That was actually so impressive. Hold on. Oh my God. Check out this. Check this out. Okay. Whew. This has got to be like some Naruto Shippuden, I don't know what the fuck it's called. Whatever shit. Okay. Wait, did you catch that? Oh my God. That was so good. Okay. Is it moral? ... Question mark. Okay. I'm trying to think of how I would even draw this. He's playing on this word want so well. We're using like this interchangeability between want and good, okay? So what we're trying to figure out is, the question is like, does Hassan think it's moral to kill babies? Is killing babies moral? Is it moral? And Hassan basically lays out a justification for, yes, it is. Palestinians have a right to resist, and there are people that live in settlements that are under occupation, even babies, right? Oh, okay. But then the question is, but then the next question of this is, should they kill the baby settlers? Should they kill the baby settlers? And Hassan goes, well, I don't really think that's the best way that they can achieve their outcome. So I don't really want them to do that. But when we say want there, we're using this in a non-moral sense, right? Like, for instance, if I say want with respect to accomplishing some prior goal, we're not really using that in the same way as we would say want in terms of like a moral statement, or should in terms of moral statement. Let me give you an example, okay? You should treat your mother with respect, right? Well, why? You should do it because treating your mother with respect is a good thing to do. It's virtuous. It's good. That's a moral statement, right? You should do this. This is a moral ought. You should want somebody to do this, right? You should want somebody to treat their mom with respect because that's morally virtuous, all right? However, let's say, okay, you should pour 1 cup of milk into a 2-cup capacity glass if you want the glass to be half full. You should do it, right? Well, now we're talking about a should with effect to some outcome we're trying to achieve based on some system, right? You should do that. And you should want someone to do that if that's what they're trying to achieve. But that's not really a moral question. I think you would still consider that a normative question. But that's not a moral question, right? Is it? What's the morality there? Well, if you want it to be half full and the capacity is 2 liters, right? You should pour 1 liter in, right? So you want them to fill the cup, okay? With 1 liter to make it half full, right? But that's not really the same type of want, right? So when Hassan is playing this game here, so what we're asking is, now, if you're phrasing it imprecisely, and Pisco will capitalize on this, if you phrase this imprecisely, and you go, does Hassan want to kill settler babies? Pisco's going, well, let's find out. So when we say, does Hassan want to kill settler babies, we're asking a moral question, right? Does he think it's good or acceptable, morally defensible to kill babies? And then Hassan goes, well, I don't think that would be the most effective way to achieve their outcome. So with respect to the outcome they're trying to achieve, they shouldn't. Well, that's not really answering the question that we're asking, right? And it's like, well, didn't he say he doesn't want them to? So in that case, no, like he doesn't want in the moral sense, which he does want, he does justify this, but because we're now treating this want word as just like this, with reference to affecting some outcome and not actually with regards to the morality of the question. Oh, so no, but then he takes this no down here and then he applies it and subsumes everything up here under it. It's like, wait, you're talking about categorical versus hypothetical imperatives. Hypotheticals are conditional. Categorical are absolutely in the context they're said, which means in moral situations. Oh, okay, that might be, I don't have the philosophy jargon for it, but yeah. This is such a trick that he's playing here though, because
of Israelis living on Israel.
Like imagine if I were to ask somebody, do I have to explain this? I feel like it's so obvious. Imagine if I ask somebody, okay, I heard yesterday that you said that you can hold down a woman and punch her in the face until you can fuck her. All right. I heard you say that. Kind of sounds like rape. Do you think that men have a right to hold down women and punch them until they can fuck them? Do you think that's the case? If somebody were to answer you, well, honestly, you're probably not even going to be hard. The woman's not going to be, wet, or if you are hard as fuck, it's going to be a struggle. It's not going to be like a satisfying sexual experience. I don't think guys should even do it. I think it would just be easier to like court a woman in a traditional manner. Mate, it kind of sounds like you think rape is okay if it would achieve a better outcome. Is that what you mean to say? Because that's what Hassan is saying here. So if killing babies was the best way to clear all the settlers, would that make it a thing you would recommend then? Because you're not really giving a moral defense, or you're not making a moral assertion in terms of why they should or shouldn't. You're just giving a practical concern.
Was that it?
Jesus.
Proper are they're also doing the exact
So far, he's not saying that it's good that babies get killed, that he wants babies to be killed. None of that even close.
same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that
Hang on.
the exact same thing in the they're also doing the exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that is a reasonable solution, and it's not.
He doesn't believe it's a reasonable solution.
Realistic anyway, and
it's
that
not
only
realistic.
will lead to the complete evisceration of Palestinians,
and he doesn't want the complete evisceration of Palestinians.
And far
hence, he doesn't want baby settlers to be killed.
right Israelis will use that to continuously radicalize just regular Israeli citizens in their endless bombing campaigns and ethnic cleansing campaigns and the brutal occupation. This is why many thinkers, I believe even including Norm Finkelstein, who has dedicated his entire life to speaking the truth about...
Wait a second. Baby settlers. Hang on a second. All right. Couple things. First off, as a matter of fact, right? Unless there's some special technical meaning of settler, does anyone here deny that babies can be settlers? What it is to be a settler is to be part of a group that settles in a place. Am I wrong about that? Who here disagrees with that?
You can have that definition, which is fine, but in creating the category of settlers, Hassan earlier said that Palestinians have a moral and legal right to enact violence against settlers. So if that category of settlers now expands to include babies, we really have the right to kill children? Really? The moral and legal right to kill children? By the way, you don't. For definitely not the legal one. Most likely not the moral one either.
Does anyone disagree that there is such a concept as a baby settler? And on what grounds do you disagree with that? Settler implies an intentionality. Settler implies an intentionality. I think the act of settling implies intentionality. I'm not sure that being a settler, any more than being an immigrant, right?
He's a raper, but I wouldn't call him a rapist. I don't know.
You can be a baby immigrant, can't you? Or are you saying babies can't be immigrants? I think it's a separate thing. To immigrate is to have an intentionality. But I think the term immigrant or the term settler can refer also to children and people beneath the age of reason. Okay, so yeah, I don't think there's anything absurd about just the term settler being applied to babies any more than an immigrant baby, a baby of an immigrant, maybe you would say. And so the negative statements here is in a misstatement of law.
Hi, what's up?
Hey, yo. Just real quick while you're watching the video. Pisco genuinely does not understand the difference between what you're trying to say, the moral versus the, what was it somebody in chat said? The normative want.
He does. He absolutely does. Because when push comes to shove, I understand if you call him out. I understand you call him out. But I watch this happen in real time in the Hutch. Every time he debates Hutch on things, when push comes to shove, when he gets out of his like super debate brain and starts to intuitively just like argue things, he leans into the correct intuitive terminology immediately when he's not like in hypercognition mode.
Agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Whenever however many months ago, whenever you joined that hellish VC in his server. Earlier that night, it was Hobbit Faller trying to do it, and then he had to leave, and then I kept trying to do it to explain this difference to him, and he could not. He was either refusing to understand or he couldn't understand. It was unbelievable that he couldn't understand the difference between like the different types of want, like the moral versus the practical. It was insane.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. But I agree. Obviously, he does it in the Hutch thing, which was why we were trying to get that across to him, but impossible. Okay. That's all I had.
All right. Be careful.
All right, see ya.
Which I'm granting for the purpose of the conversation. But crucially, what's not happening is he's not morally justifying the killing of babies.
He did morally justify the killing of babies. And by the category you've just created, he literally did. He literally did. You just said that babies were settlers, and Hassan earlier said that Palestinians have a legal and moral right to kill settlers. Did he not say that? What did he say right before? Let's see if we can get the exact fucking quote. Settler. It would have been at around 4:10-ish.
Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law, and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality. Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize back their own homes from the settlers.
They have the legal grounds to violently seize back their homes from settlers. Like that's what he just said here, right?
What do we think? Do we agree with that? They have the international law, the power to violently seize the homes back from the settlers. I'm not sure. Does international law have a view on that? I mean, pull up the law piece. Google is free. Is the claim that the
manner that they behave?
I don't put much. I don't
like in general, and that also isn't what was being said in the clip. Now I understand the frustration.
Hold on.
faith in the dudes that decapitated babies to treating their POWs really well.
Well,
I think that's kind of a psychotic take too. Where it's like why are you trying to give Hamas the benefit of the doubt on this one? You know, being like, oh, they treat their prisoners fucking awesome. Yeah.
Well, just because Hassan didn't just say that. Hassan just said, like, in general. And that also isn't what was being said in the clip. Now, I understand the frustration for sure, but it's not that they'll treat them very well. It's not that we should trust them. It's that is what has happened in the past. And that's what Hassan said. So, again, not to excuse the normative evilness of the clip and the weaselness to not to engage, but I don't think that that's what's being said is to trust Hamas. It's just kind of historical look.
No, let's not try to do that.
Okay.
So anyway, and that combined with just the callous, the laughter.
Listen,
hold on.
Did Palestinians actually take civilian hostage, or is that fake news? I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they're laughing.
So
about it.
let me pose a question for you.
Go ahead.
So you have said that those in the West Bank are fundamentalist settlers. Are you familiar with the international law surrounding the justifiable forms of violence towards?
So first of all,
terror?
I don't put any stock, frankly, in whatever these quote international laws are.
Yeah, it's
Is he representing that it's justified to kill under international law anyone who's a quote unquote settler? Well, he doesn't say that yet, but maybe that's what he's suggesting.
But no, I'm not familiar with
so
whatever that says.
technically the reason why the IDF has to exist in the West Bank and behave in the oppressive manner that they behave is because Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law, and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality. Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize back their own homes from the settlers. This
What do we think? Do we agree with that? They have the international law, the power to violently seize the homes back from the settlers. I'm not sure. Does international law have a view on that?
Okay, keep going from this.
I mean, pull up the law, Pisco.
I think Hassan goes on to clarify ethically as well, but like he's using the law here to support the ethical view. It's not like Hassan is saying this is crazy and I don't even agree with this, but the law says they have a right to, right? He's using the law to further his point here.
Was free. Is the claim that that this is untrue? Not against civilians, obviously.
Well, that's not what Hassan thinks, but
Well, he just mentioned the IDF, right? Or what did he say? No, he's mentioning the settlers.
yep.
So he's not allowed to impose. It's a war crime. So it would be a war crime. Let's just make sure we understand this. It would be a war crime for Palestinians to violently kick out, with threat of force, settlers, and to reclaim their homes. I'm just trying to think, like, is this I'm trying to understand the claim.
Does
Is the claim that
does
it's
Hassan make more? Do they talk more about that?
justification of that being on the presented to me to allow some people
Okay, hang on, okay.
this is a matter of
to get killed or something, right? That's the question.
This is a matter of law, and maybe radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law, and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality. Palestinians,
Okay.
If you agree with this as a matter of morality.
Which Hassan does.
have the
Hang on.
Whatever that says.
technically the reason why the IDF has to exist in the West Bank and behave in the oppressive manner that they behave is because Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law, and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality.
If you agree with this action, a matter of morality. It's a matter of law, and if you agree with it, meaning the action, a matter of morality. I don't think Hassan here saying is if you agree that this is what the law is, therefore it's good. I don't think that's what it said there. I'm just being honest in terms of what I'm hearing.
Palestinians have the legal
Legal.
ground to violently seize back their own homes from the settlers. This is a reality, and that is precisely the reason why they have to exist under endless occupation in the
You
West
know
Bank.
what? And that's why I say if it was settlers, that would be a lot more understandable. But let's not obfuscate. Okay, I understand what you're saying. This dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand, and there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlements.
But the babies they killed were not.
I know.
Okay, so
now
here's
that we established that, no, hold on. Now that we established that, the other school of thought here is that all matter of Israelis living on Israel
Was that it?
proper are they're also doing the
So far, he's not saying that it's good that babies get killed, that he wants babies to be killed. None of that even close.
exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that
Hang on.
the exact same thing in the they're also doing the exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that is a reasonable solution, and it's not
He doesn't believe it's a reasonable solution.
realistic anyway, and
It's
that
not
only
realistic.
will lead to the complete evisceration of Palestinians
And he doesn't want the complete evisceration of Palestinians.
and far
Hence, he doesn't want baby settlers to be killed.
right Israelis will use that to continuously radicalize just regular Israeli citizens in their endless bombing campaigns and ethnic cleansing campaigns and the brutal occupation. This is why many thinkers, I believe even including Norm Finkelstein, who has dedicated his entire life to speaking the truth about
Wait a second. Baby settlers. Hang on a second. All right. Couple things. First off, as a matter of fact, right? Unless there's some special technical meaning of settler, does anyone here deny that babies can be settlers? What it is to be a settler is to be part of a group that settles in a place. Am I wrong about that? Who here disagrees with that? Does anyone disagree that there is such a concept as a baby settler? And on what grounds do you disagree with that? Settler implies an intentionality. Settler implies an intentionality.
Fuck.
I think the act of settling implies intentionality. I'm not sure that being a settler any more than being an immigrant, right? You can be a baby immigrant, can't you? Or are you saying babies can't be immigrants? I think there's a separate thing. To immigrate is to have an intentionality. But I think the term immigrant or the term settler can refer also to children and people beneath the age of reason. Okay, so yeah, I don't think there's anything absurd about just the term settler being applied to babies any more than an immigrant baby, a baby of an immigrant, maybe you would say. And so the negative statements here is in a misstatement of law, which I'm granting for the purpose of the conversation. But crucially, what's not happening is he's not morally justifying the killing of babies. And everyone agrees with that, right?
Oh my God.
He's not morally justifying the killing of babies.
Okay.
Well, no, unemployment means that you're, I think the technical definition of unemployed. First of all, I do think they're unemployed babies. I think babies are all unemployed, right? Wait, can we just examine this guy? Fresh paycheck 777. Is it a coherent statement to say babies are unemployed? Does that statement make sense? And is it correct?
Not really.
Let's just, only one person I'm looking at right now is fresh.
I feel like employed or I feel like unemployed. I feel like that has baked into it like the concept of the capability to be employed, right? Like I feel like there is an underlying understanding of that. Like it would be very weird to say like, oh, here's my newborn baby. My newborn baby is also a virgin. It's like your 2-month-old baby is a virgin. I mean, like I guess that's true. That's a really weird. That's like a really weird descriptor, you know? I feel like the term unemployed starts to make more sense when you talk about like who could even be employed, like the potential to be employed, but there we go. Like you would never describe somebody who's 80 generally. You wouldn't say, oh, you're unemployed. You say, no, I'm retired. I don't even have the desire to work anymore, right? I'm retired. I'm not employed. Or I'm not unemployed. The fuck?
Used to juxtapose the history of Israeli Jews. I think it's being juxtaposed with respect to he has a view on what Israel's doing here, but I don't want to conflate the substantive issue of what the Israeli conflict is and to double count it, right? So here's the problem, right? If he's bastardizing Jewish history, that's one thing, right? That's its own faux pas or whatever. But I don't want to double count to the extent that you believe he's wrong on Israel-Palestine. I don't want to double count that and be like, oh, he's using this for this end. Well, if you already disagree with him on that, it doesn't sound like the use of Jewish history, which is accurate, or a narrative that you think is already false. I don't want to like double whammy him. I hope that makes sense. So just like be aware of that the disagreement on substantive policy grounds should not be used, I think, to rear its head in other places, except for where there's like an additional bias, an additional indication of bad faith or like bad thing that you've done. And then someone said something about Charlie Kirk.
So you really and fighting, citing principles of Judaism.
Surprises here, but Charlie Kirk.
These people betray
these people. I mean, he's not saying. It sounds like he's just like interrupting him bringing up Charlie Kirk. So it doesn't sound like it's because they just responded to these people are betraying the Jewish values. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just being honest.
Principles of Judaism and centuries of Jewish history of always siding with those who have been oppressed, always being at the forefront of social justice and fighting for emancipation for all people. It's really, really, really disgusting to see that. 100%.
I want to read this one. So basically showing all these ghouls feeling very comfortable with
and calling them ghouls,
pushback, expressing their desire for genocide.
And again, I do think, and again, thank you for the memberships. I do think that Ethan is being very reasonable here in light of very like circumstances that are super traumatizing, even for people who are not in Israel. I knew I have friends who are Jews who it's not like this was a faraway thing that they felt, right? It very much felt personal, even in America. And so credit to Ethan here. I think big credit.
Western media. Here is an Israeli, hold on, who said this? Okay, so here it is in Hebrew. This was from an unnamed defense official told Israel's Channel 13 that the Palestinian territory, home to more 2 million residents, would be reduced to rubble. Quote, Gaza will eventually turn into a city of tents. There will be no buildings. The ground maneuver will surprise Hamas, the official said in a stark warning to the terrorist group behind the weekend assault that killed more than 1,200 Israelis.
I mean, the Israeli defense minister literally said, we're shutting off the electricity, we're shutting off the food supply.
I don't understand
and we're
that.
shutting off the water into Gaza because we're fighting human animals, or a better translation, I think, was beasts. Like, but ultimately, though, that's collective punishment is a
Not the
violation of the Geneva
Amalek.
suggestions. I don't want to call it conventions.
Is that like some?
It is. This has happened for far too long. You can't attack the press. You can't attack, medics.
Yeah, we don't like Trump, but can you not spam? Do we have a kick mod? Don't spam, okay? We don't like Trump, but don't spam. Please don't spam.
They killed. There was the Red Crescent guy who was crying in his ambulance because he could not. He'd seen far too much death and destruction, and a couple hours later, he got bombed. They allowed him to enter a side of the.
Why can't I spam? You have 3 people because you're. That's in the kick chat, but you appear in the chat where there's hundreds of people, and you could get me fucking banned. Dipshit. All right, I'm gonna ban this guy. You stupid idiot. Oh, you're getting banned, bro. Fucking kick chat. This motherfucker, right? This mother. Banned. Nice.
rubble, a site of the bombings, and they bombed him and killed him, like a couple hours later.
Okay, so
Directly, just a violation.
at this time, I want to turn my attention to some of the very evil takes I've heard.
Wait, did we go back somehow? Did I go back somehow? We were at 420. No? Or around, we were heading in that direction. I think I did. I think I pushed a... I'm fucking retarded. Okay, sorry. Where were we?
I believe even including Norm Finkelstein, who has dedicated his entire life to speaking the
Done
truth
looping.
about...
Wait a second. Baby settlers. Hang on a second. All right. Couple things. First off,
Okay.
as a matter of fact, right, unless there's some special technical meaning of settler, does anyone here
No, we got through this.
be a baby immigrant, can't you? Or of reason. Okay. So yeah, I don't think there's anything absurd about just the term settler being applied to babies any more than, you know, an immigrant baby, a baby of an immigrant, maybe you would say. And so the negative statements here is in a misstatement of law, which I'm granting for the purpose of the conversation. But crucially, what's not happening is he's not morally justifying the killing of babies.
He
And
did.
everyone agrees with that,
He
right?
did. No, he
He's
did.
not morally
Okay.
justifying.
Somehow I must have rewound
killing
from
the
this
babies.
point. If you click on a word in the transcript, it takes you there. Oh, maybe I accidentally clicked a word. Okay.
Well, no, unemployment means that you're, I think the technical definition of unemployed. So I do think they're unemployed babies. I think babies are all unemployed, right? Wait, can we just examine this guy? Fresh paycheck 777. Is it a coherent statement to say babies are unemployed? Does that statement make sense? And is it correct? Let's just, only one person I'm looking at right now is fresh paycheck 777. Now you could be taking the definition of unemployment or employment, which means you're actively looking for jobs, but then that's just a different definition.
Somebody should ask
He's
him
absolutely-
about like disabled people or retired people. Like, are they unemployed? No, I don't think we view unemployed that way. They don't have a job, but we call them unemployed. I just think normatively that just implies more when we say that word. I think most people would reasonably agree with that.
Ethically justifying violence against babies? All right, let's take a look. Is he ethically justifying violence against babies? And where is that? If you agree with that, I mean, that's almost a circular question, right?
Like, it's almost like you could even use it as like a punchline for a joke. Like, oh, here's my fucking 9-year-old. This little unemployed fuck lives with me. Like, would Pisco look at you and go like, why? What do you mean unemployed? Like, of course he doesn't have it. Or like, oh, like, yeah, unemployed. That makes sense. Or no, he wouldn't laugh because he said, oh, that's true. He's unemployed and he lives with you. It's like, well, no, it's a joke. Why the fuck? He's not looking for a job. He doesn't need to work. He's 9 years old.
It might even be moral if you agree with that, which is with the actions. You understand that? And then he says, I don't agree with that. I don't think it's reasonable. I think it will eviscerate the Palestinian people.
But Hassan doesn't say he doesn't agree with it because it's bad to kill babies. He just says he doesn't agree with it because it's not effective enough.
And I take what something is moral as something that someone ought to do, right? What you ought to do.
Oh my God.
And he's saying you ought not do that.
Because it's not effective, not because it's immoral. You're mixing up oughts here.
So I view that his statement there is saying we ought not kill the babies.
Because it's not effective, not because it's immoral.
It means something different when you use the word unemployed to intuition pump something about, I don't even know what that means. Intuition pump.
True. It means something different when you use the word unemployed to intuition pump something about the baby. That's true because unemployed, it feels like it carries more than just not have, like unemployed doesn't just mean does not have a job, right?
Something about the baby. It means something different when you use the word unemployment to intuition pump something about the baby. I don't even know what you're saying there. It's clear. What do you think he means by baby settler? Settlers of babies. Does anyone doubt that when he says baby settler, he means babies of settlers? What do you think he means other than that?
That is what he means, but it's the morally justifying and the legal justification of killing them.
If there's something other than babies of settlers that you think he means by baby settlers, tell me what it is. A baby who has settled. Isn't it clear and obvious? And I'm just being like totally... Isn't it clear and obvious that what he's talking about are the children of settlers? Baby settler or children of settler? even grant that in order to be a settler, you have to have intentionality. All right, grant it. Isn't it obvious that in this context that he's saying it's the children of settlers? It means babies are fair targets for Hamas. Okay, from which perspective? From an ethical perspective or from a legal perspective?
When you bring up intuition pumping in normal conversations, I don't think they have any idea what you're referring to. Yeah, you'd have to explain it. Fuck, maybe I haven't done that recently. We talked about that so much a few years ago. An intuition pump is like when you say a thing in order to... what you're doing is you're trying to borrow some kind of like normative value from like another word or metaphor or something in order to make something sound worse than it actually is. Kind of. You're borrowing from the intuitions of a thing in order to give more weight or gravity to something or get somebody to intentionally kind of like misinterpret a thing in a way that's not really what's happening. Like, I'm trying to think of... we say intuition pumping. I'm trying to think of an example. I can't think of any right now. Oh, maybe abortion is murder is kind of like well, hold on. Now, if you talk about like, well, the fetus can feel pain, I wouldn't call that an intuition pump. That's like the thing you're referring to, the actual thing you're talking about there, right? You're not really pumping intuition. You're like that it is the thing, right? Oh, maybe when you would say something like, would you take a vacuum cleaner to a 1-year-old's head and suck its brain out and then use forceps to chop its body up if you don't want to take care of it anymore? Then why do you think it's okay to do that to a 2-week fetus? That's an intuition pump. Because in your mind, you're thinking of like, whoa, shit, that's a live baby. It's crying. You probably already named it. It's been to the hospital. Or what did I say? A year old, month old, whatever. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. And now you want to fucking murder this thing with a vacuum cleaner and whoo! But it's like, this organism is not at all resembling a 2-week fetus. That's an intuition pump. That would be an example of an intuition pump. Yeah.
Both. In virtue of what do we think that Hassan is saying it's ethical to kill those babies?
Because they're settlers, and he believes that Palestinians... Somebody just asked Hassan, or somebody should ask Pisco. Pisco, do you think that Hassan believes it's ethical for Palestinians to enact violence against settlers? Would Pisco say Hassan would say no? Does Pisco think Hassan doesn't believe that?
Because I just heard him say he thinks it's something we ought not do.
But this is bad faith. Like this, I can say this with 100% confidence. This is bad faith. Or the most charitable read isn't that it's bad faith, but that he's so oppositionally debate-brained right now that he can't give any ground on this because he thinks somebody he doesn't like has this position, or and he's just like kind of mind-fucked himself, which you could argue whether or not that's bad faith. But like, yeah, this is so stupid.
I think he's conflating the two. No, I think he's specifically not conflating the two, right? Doesn't he specifically not conflate the two? Let me just look at it.
So anyway, go ahead.
So you have said that those in the West Bank are fundamentalist settlers. Are you familiar with the international law surrounding the justifiable
he said it's not good to target settlers. Okay.
forms of violence?
Why?
Towards
So first of all, I don't put...
He brings it up in the context of settlers are fair game legally, right? That's what he's saying. He could be wrong with that. But how this is told to me is that he wants babies to be killed. That's how it's told to me. I'm just telling you how it was told to me. Okay?
I don't put any stock, frankly, in whatever these quote international laws are.
Yeah,
but no, I'm not familiar with whatever that says.
Technically, the reason why the IDF has to exist in the West Bank and behave in the oppressive manner that they behave...
Where's the distance between him passing what is legal through to what is moral? In that they're different things. It could be legal to do a highly immoral thing.
Oh my God.
...is because Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is...
Like when you say this is going to sound radical and possibly very violent, just like think about how people use language. That's some shit you say to prep somebody for a belief that you have that they might think is like kind of out there. He's like, listen... This might sound pretty out there, okay? But like, you can do this thing, That sounds like some shit you agree with. Otherwise, you would phrase it differently. You would say something along the lines of like, okay, there we go. You would say something more along the lines of like, this is this crazy fucking thing in law where you can do this thing. Or like, it's a vestige of older legal systems, or for some reason you can still do this thing. It's legal, it's protected that you can do this thing. It's unbelievable. Not like, this might be radical for you, maybe for you. This might seem kind of crazy, maybe for you. But for you, it might be crazy. But here's what's allowed, right? That doesn't sound at all like this. It's very obvious and plain, like what the intention is there.
A matter of law.
As a matter of law, that seems clear. He's saying law there.
And maybe even if you agree
if you agree,
there's a matter of morality.
With this, I take this to be not coextensive with the law, right? It's saying if you agree with this law, perhaps at best. I think it means with this policy. But if you mean maybe if you agree with this law, there is some distance. In other words, he's saying it's not necessary that if you believe it's legal, that you believe it's good. I think that's clear. There's a distinction between those two. Saying maybe it's
my
moral. If you agree
God.
with this, a little ambiguous. Maybe you could say maybe if you agree with this as a reference to a law existing. I doubt it though. He's just saying it's a matter of law, so he seems quite confident in his position on the law. So I take this to be.
But it's when he
policy,
disagrees
or
with
this action or this statement that we just heard. But either way, it's clear there's a separation between law, morality that he's recognizing. I know the question asked wasn't, that's the weasel, that's the dodge. No, I totally agree with that. But is there anything unreasonable about what I just said in the following discrete? This is the only thing I'm looking at right now. That here, Hassan's statement clearly delineates between legal and moral and does not imply that they're coextensive. Maybe they result in the same result, but that they're different inquiries. Everyone here must recognize that, right? There's no reasonable way to interpret the statement that doesn't recognize that truth, correct? Is he not saying that if you agree with this law, then it may be considered to be moral? That is one way to interpret it, but even then, right? It's saying you need not necessarily agree with the law. And in which case, there's a separation still, right? Even if you read it that way, which I wouldn't actually. Okay, not what I'm asking, right? So people, if you're too triggered right now, I want you to leave. I want you to leave if you're too triggered, right? Because Darude Boy
God, bro.
is too triggered.
Okay.
Now he's opining on whether he's correct about what the law says. That's not the question I asked, okay? And if you're too triggered, you need to leave. You just need to leave, all right? There's a very narrow thing here, which is it the case in this clip, in context, that there is a separation in Hassan's mind between law and ethics? And if you're, the only thing I want to know is if your answer is no to that, in virtue of...
He's using the law in support of what he's saying, though. Like, you could tell people would say something different. If I were to say, I think you should be able to kill somebody if they break into your home. If I were to say next, now some people might find this radical, some people might find this crazy. You actually have a protection in the law to kill people that break into your home. You actually have a defense for that, right? It sounds like I'm using the law to bolster my argument. I'm not speaking opposite. If I thought it was the opposite, if my moral position was aligned with the law, that's how I would present the law. If my moral position was contrary to the law, if I think you don't have the right to kill somebody just for breaking into your home, you don't know why they're breaking into their home. It's a life versus property, right? I would say something like, this is insane to me, or this is a crazy application of the law, but legally you can kill people that come into your home. I wouldn't say some people might disagree with it, because those some people would be me. That would be me. I am some people. Like, you would never say it that way. I shouldn't even have to explain this. This is a thing that you just intuitively, obviously understand.
What is it? No.
Especially when the whole context of this conversation is talking about justifications for killing Palestinians.
And if you're too triggered and you want to ask like irrelevant stuff, then you should probably leave. Well, I think that there's plenty so far that I've seen from Hassan that's condemnable right now. What I'm not granting is that he has said that it's moral to kill settler babies. That's what I'm not granting, because I haven't heard that, and that's what it was told to me as. I already explained what makes me think that there's a difference and distinction there that he's putting there. And it's just the plain words of what he says here, right? Like, if you're too triggered by this, like, honestly, really just calm down, take a breath, and listen to the words.
Has to exist in the West Bank and behave in the oppressive manner that they behave is because Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law, and maybe
a matter of law,
even if you agree with this, a matter of
maybe even if you agree with this ambiguous grant, this ambiguous
morality,
a matter of morality, the maybe a matter of morality. Sounds that in Hassan's mind, the legal issue is settled, the moral issue is not settled. They're not necessarily coextensive. Is there any better way to interpret that statement in context? Not triggered. I'll grant you, he didn't say it was moral to kill babies. Where is it legal to? Okay, right. So understand that I think that's probably true, that it's not legal to target a baby. Your question implying that, but understand the huge difference. Moral.
His Pisco has turned into like what people like the Sargon of Akkad types were, what like the center right people were to the neo-Nazis in like 2016. I always said this, I always complained about this, that when I want to argue against like an actual neo-Nazi type figure, I've got to go through this whole room of centristy types first that are making infinite excuses. And then by the time I'm arguing with a neo-Nazi, I come off as like an unhinged leftist, because they're like, well, when he says that race and IQ are inseparable, he doesn't necessarily mean that black people are better or worse. Or when he says that we need to be worried about our culture in the United States and our civic nationalism, and that race might be a part of that, that doesn't mean that he necessarily believes that black people are stupid and they have a bad culture because of their race. And it's like, bro, Jesus, that's obviously... And he's even saying, and if you listen to what he says, he's even saying that's what he means. Why do I have to go through you first? And now I look like a crazy lefty because I've got to go through somebody who calls themselves not unhinged.
Implication in the following two scenarios. Hassan thought it was legal to kill baby settlers, and Hassan wants settler babies to be killed. Right? Because I'll give you the following example. Counterpoints thought it was good that Alex Preddy was shot, versus Counterpoints thought it was legal to kill Alex Preddy in that context. It was justified use of force. Don't we see a...
Yeah, but if I were to ask Connor that question, well, maybe because he's an online debater or whatever, even for people that thought that it was a morally justified shoot, if I were to just spring that, do you think it was good that Alex Preddy got shot? I think the intuitive response, even if people think it was justified, I would wager that most people say, no, I don't think it's good to get shot. I don't want anybody to get shot, which is a fair statement. Now, if I were to specify more clearly, did he think it was morally acceptable for the cop to act in self-defense and shoot? And I was like, okay, yeah, I think it was a good shoot, but like, no, it's not good that he got shot, right? You're using the word good here, and you're pretending it means the same thing. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Oh my God, bro.
massive...
How long is this like little segment? I don't.
gulf between those two statements?
No.
A massive gulf? And what this was sold to me as was
Oh my
Hassan
God.
Piker justifies
He does.
the killing of babies, an equivocation, yet again, between legal justification and moral justification.
Oh my God. And it's an equating of the two. Not an equivocation, but...
I have plenty of condemnation for Hassan based on this clip. And that is the weaselness, not answering questions, irrelevant tangents on an issue where your interlocutor has conceded the horrible...
It's interesting. He does the Trump thing too, where I'm like, would you disagree with Trump on anything? Well, yeah. I don't like it when Trump calls people names. I don't really like it when Trump is, I think that sometimes he's too hot-headed. No, motherfucker. Do you think it's okay that Trump is an authoritarian fucking dictator that is destroying the United States' reputation abroad and destroying our ability to function as, well, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Trump coin, I guess. Like, well, what the fuck? Like, well, I don't like Hassan's weaselness, and I don't like that Hassan is avoiding the question. Why is he avoiding the question, motherfucker? It's because he thinks it's okay to kill babies. You would never avoid the question in that manner. You would never avoid the question otherwise. You would just answer it dead on. Fuck, somebody posted a clip yesterday. Wait. This is a good-ass clip. In my subreddit. It was like, this is my favorite Destiny clip. And it's this point exactly. Fuck. Did I see this last night or this morning? Thank you.
Or if you're using it as like a manipulation technique to silence officers.
My intention is
Manipulation
never ever to
technique.
paint an entire party as fascist or anyone in this room as fascist. I
should.
don't think anyone is. But I think that there's a blindness and there's a normalization of fascism. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Was the 2020 election stolen or was it not? Was it legit?
I'm
I
not
don't
sure,
know.
but can I ask you a
See,
question?
no, that's
Wait,
I'm not sure. Then you're saying, oh, okay, just curious. Does your dad like to fuck little children? Are you agnostic on that? Because you don't know, right? You haven't even known your dad his whole life, right? Because he was alive for 20, 30 years before he had you, right? So I'm just curious. Would you answer that question with the same level of fairness, right? I don't know if my dad fucks kids. I'm not sure. He might have before he had me. Maybe. Who knows, right? Answer that question. That should be the follow-up every time. You should ask for people to see if they would give equivalent statements of wishy-washiness, because they wouldn't, right? If I'm having a conversation about whether or not you can kill children, you're never going to come out of that conversation thinking that I have an ambiguous position. I'm going to make it known because Jesus fucking Christ. I hate kids and you should. I'm just kidding in the video game. Like, especially when you're being accused, especially when the conversation is you being accused of supporting killing children. What the fuck? If somebody were to come up to me and be like, oh, Destiny, you've debated a lot of the incest pedophilia stuff in the past, right? Do you think you should actually be able to have sex with kids? And my response is, you could fuck kids until like 1915 in the US. What the fuck are you going to think my opinion on that topic is? Are you going as a Pisco going to come to my rescue and go, well, Destiny was just speaking legally? What the fuck?
statements on the pro-Israel side. I think it's disgusting not to acknowledge the these horrible statements on the other side. That is condemnable. What it's not, and what it pisses me off because if I were to repeat this, this claim, Hassan justified killing babies. If I said it like that, I would get called out on it, and I would be wrong. And I would look like a fucking idiot. And so I'm glad I looked into this. So now I know the claim. The claim is Hassan, at this point in time, legally justified killing settler babies. And that has a very different implication.
Oh my God.
You're strawmanning. Who am I strawmanning? Who am I strawmanning? By justify, do you mean ethically justify or legally justify? Purple Monkey Dishwasher 9818. I justify there, do you mean ethically or legally justify?
Thumbnail. Oh, wait. Wait, where are my controls still set up? Oh, I bet they saved to a similar config file or something on your computer.
Well, no. After this, he says that it shouldn't happen. I take evil to mean that which we must not do. Right? Like, I just take like something is good in virtue we ought do it. And something
See, this is now he's doing the thing. That's not like on a very strict syntactical sense, maybe that all good things, all morally virtuous things. So like you can have, I don't know the actual answers because I don't study this, but I think some people would say there aren't gradients of like goodness or whatever. It's I think it's a binary thing. It's either good or it's bad. You have a good thing or a bad thing, and you ought to do good things and you ought not to do bad things. Okay, but then you get into weird worlds where it's like technically you should say that you ought to do every good thing, and a good thing is any good thing which can be rationally justified as being good with respect to whatever morality you have. So then there are good things that might feel like you wouldn't ever say in common language, I want that to happen. The self-defense example, a million times this, right? Did you want this wife to kill her husband? And it's like, well, no, not really. Really? You said she was justified in self-defense. The husband was trying to kill her and the kid, right? Okay, yeah, I guess. So you wanted her to kill the husband. Damn. I mean, like, that's not how we use that word. I've repeated this one a million times. This is, bro.
is bad and we ought not do it. Oh, okay. In virtue of, I grant that he's legally justifying it here. In virtue of what is he morally justifying it? No, I'm not saying that there's a logical difference. I'm saying what in virtue of what? What is the evidence that he morally supports killing babies here? What's the evidence of that? That he morally supports killing these babies in Israel. What's the evidence of that claim? What is the best evidence that Hassan morally supports killing fellow babies? I would agree with this. I think he's legally justifying in the context of sweeping for the people who think it is more.
Did Destiny address retweeting Myron Gaines? Yeah, he's trying to get remonetized. And listen, if he gets remonetized, I'll probably get remonetized. So you take the allies you can get, boys.
Morally justified. I think that he's definitely trying to downplay their positions. I think they do believe it's morally justified, 100%. And that is its own bad thing. But I just don't think that it's him ethically justifying it.
Okay. Oh shit! Wait, this is the intro. I remember playing this like 2 months ago. Can I beat the intro stage if I'm a good player now?
The entirety of the podcast, of this podcast? I don't know, I think this is totally reasonable take.
Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize.
It's a dog whistle. You think he's signaling that he does want these babies to be killed?
Back their own homes from
a dog whistle?
This is
it's
reality,
not a...
and that is precisely the reason why they have to exist under endless occupation in the West
You know
Bank.
what? And that's why I say, if it was settlers, that would be a lot more understandable. Yeah. But let's not obfuscate, okay? I understand what you're saying. But this dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand. And there are baby settlers as well.
And just to be 1,000,000,000% clear here,
1 trillion.
Ethan is suggesting that he might even agree that violence is justified against Israeli settlers. I don't think he's saying that about babies. Ethan is, but
well, there are babies.
But that presumably under international law with respect to civilians would still be unjustified, right?
So,
Oh,
well,
just
there are
the
babies
legal
in
arguments.
settlements.
But the babies they killed they were not.
I know.
Okay, so
now that we
here's
establish that. No, hold on. Now that we establish that, the other moments.
But the babies they killed they were not.
I know.
Okay, so
What is that?
now
here's
that we
the
establish that. No, hold on. Now that we establish that, the other school of
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, amazing that these same people can easily grasp justification related to collateral damage and strikes, then have this performative outrage. Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing in the chat is performative, 100%.
Oh my god, bro. Pisco always does this thing too. I mean, I feel like I do it too, I guess. I guess it's not bad to do. It just depends on if you're right or not, maybe. But I guess everybody will have that impression. Pisco does this thing constantly where he's like, you guys are all brain broken, and I'm the only one that's not brain broken. And then he proceeds to, I do this when I talk to you fuckers about healthcare and housing, and you guys all are brain broken, and I'm the only one that's not brain broken, so fuck you. But I'm right, and Pisco's wrong. But he'll do this thing where he's like, I'm not brain broken, you guys are all brain broken, and then he proceeds to give what feels like the most brain broken takes possible, okay? Jesus.
What I'm seeing in the chat right now, I think is 100% performative. I think nothing about what I just said is unreasonable. Like, I fucking challenge you. What is the unreasonable position?
thought here is that all matter of Israelis living on Israel proper are they're also doing the exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that is a reasonable solution, and it's not realistic anyway, and that only will lead to...
This is him saying it's a bad idea to kill.
Oh my God! It's him saying it won't affect their. It won't be a good way to achieve their outcomes. How does he not hear what this is? It's such a crazy. This is just so crazy to me, bruh.
Civilians. You guys realize that? Let's start this again. I know that your brains might turn off, but do you understand what is this also a dog whistle? What is this? This is him saying it's a bad idea, right? By which a bad idea means you ought not do it, means it's bad.
Oh my God, that's literally not what he means. He literally doesn't say that it's a bad idea, like you ought not do it, like you ought not. See how he's doing this borrowing from, Hassan is saying you shouldn't do it because it won't affect some outcome. It's conditioned on whether or not they would actually achieve success or not. And Pisco is using the word want to pivot to, oh, well, you shouldn't want to do this because it's actually morally not okay, right? That's what Hassan actually means. Oh my God.
Are you guys, how do you explain this?
Oh my God, bruv.
In the eyes are they're also doing the exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that
For pragmatic purposes, not moral purpose. I just don't understand, like, doesn't pragmatism fit into morals? It just seems that, like, to be clear, like,
The chatter got it. What was that response? Whoa, isn't pragmatic the same thing as moral? Really? Really? Really?
pragmatism is with respect to an end, right? Something is pragmatic or not with respect to your goal, right? A goal
is
the nature of is by which pragmatism is defined, right? Pragmatism.
What a circular. What was that? He has to be careful because if he says the thing, he's obviously walked into a trapping of his own making, right? Like, well, when we say with respect to a goal, pragmatically, he just means, what does he mean, Pisco? He means whether or not the Palestinians can achieve freedom. And if he thinks that if Hassan thinks that there's a reasonable chance of success for Palestinians, achieving freedom by killing babies, then it becomes an okay action. Yes, it's not conditioned on any kind of like morality. It's just conditioned on some kind of outcome of Palestinian freedom.
Is meaningless if there's no goal, right? And so in virtue of getting the most just outcome that is not leading to the worst of all possible worlds, or a world in which Palestinians are eviscerated, I don't understand pragmatism independent of some sort of goal.
Well, follow that on the other end then. So that if Pisco will at least say, well, sure. So Hassan is saying that if the Palestinians could be free if they killed enough babies, then it would be okay. Do you acknowledge that?
Like, what does pragmatism mean if it's not with relation to a goal? What does it even mean to be pragmatic? Oh, you're not pragmatic with respect to something. You're just are pragmatic. It's a referential word. That's a reach? No, okay. Someone define pragmatism without respect to a goal.
You can't. But pragmatic with respect to a goal is not the same as moral. And moral statements, at least any moral system that I've ever heard of, is supposed to be pretty universalized. Maybe there are some fucking slavery moral systems or whatever, but like generally people believe that moral statements apply equally across all people in society. Like it's morality. It's not with respect to a situation. The morals don't change from situation to situation. Like it's okay to murder sometimes, it's okay to rape sometimes, and other times it's not. Inside the concrete things on the top. I don't know what you mean when you say on the top. Above me, I see open sky. Per sec. That's what's on top.
I don't understand bad as something different than morally wrong. You guys are going to have to establish what bad is as me.
Really? You don't understand bad as it is in something that's morally wrong. It's bad that my tire pressure is 20 psi. Is that morally wrong? Is that a morally wrong thing?
Mean something different than morally wrong? In my mind, they're the exact same thing. And if you think Hassan means something different, you have to explain what does Hassan mean by bad versus morally wrong.
Oh my god. He means the concrete barrels.
Because he might be pragmatic. If it were pragmatic, then it might be morally okay to kill settler babies.
Thank you. Jesus Christ. Yes. Who said that? Whoever said that in his chat yesterday, I'm giving you. Thank God. Jesus. Oh, in these? The 3 concrete tubes inside the middle one. The top is items. Why the dude, who cares? Oh my God. Thank you so much for helping me find this. Oh my God, this is just what I need for this conversation. Thank you.
I mean, this is just true of like most people, right? Like if you knew that like X, Y, or Z, that killing Palestinian babies would lead to, for example, the 100% future protection of Israel, maybe you'd be okay with that too. The difference there is, target versus not target. It means
I'm stuck.
Again, productivity is with respect to a goal, right? Productivity doesn't mean anything by itself. Productivity is just it's a reference, it's a referral tool.
Like, nobody thinks of morality this way, that you can change your morals with respect to a particular goal. This, by the way, this is why international law exists, is because you're not supposed to think of it that way. You're not supposed to think of it with respect to a goal. Like, well, if I think I can win the war, I can genocide this group of people. No, there are some things you're just never allowed to do. These are always considered like deeply immoral things. Now, there might be balancing acts between some types of moral things, for sure. So when we talk about like collateral damage, for instance, when you're involved in a war. But in terms of like straight, just like, I want to fucking kill a civilian because fuck yeah, let's do it. No, this is considered always wrong. You can't do like acts of terrorism.
He's saying that it has blowback and harms long-term Palestinian objectives. That's so much different from being equal to being morally wrong.
Correct.
So I just, again, the question is like, what does he mean? What do you guys mean by morally wrong? He eventually says it would
Define morality. Name every moral. What do you mean when you guys say morally wrong? Define. Really? What's every moral? Right now, go. Name 7 morals. I bet you can't even name 5 morals right now. What do you mean when you say that? I actually have no idea. What do you mean when you guys say it would be more? What? I don't even know what that. I can't even comprehend possibly what you mean by that.
be bad solely because it would hurt Palestinians, not because it's evil in and of itself. Because lives. Okay, so is what you're trying to say? This I would understand. He doesn't think Jewish babies or settlers' lives have value, right? That is a difference with a distinction with a difference. Is that it's not in virtue of any, with any respect, the lives of Jewish people, that they don't have value in and of themselves. But that's just a separate claim that you need to justify.
That is a reasonable solution, and it's not realistic anyway, and that only will lead to the complete evisceration of Palestinians, and far-right Israelis will use that to continuously radicalize just regular Israeli citizens in their endless bombing campaigns and ethnic cleansing campaigns and the brutal occupation. This is why many thinkers, I believe even including...
Yeah, I think it's deplorable not...
Holy true. Holy fucking true. Somebody in YouTube chat said, the Andrew Wilson of the left. Unironically true.
To say, and it's also bad to kill babies here, but and I think it is deplorable not to mention that, just to be clear. But I don't think it's the same justifying, morally justifying the killing of babies. So to understand the difference, right? He's not saying it's bad in this clip in virtue of, well, you shouldn't kill babies because babies also have value. In addition to all the pragmatic concerns, what you're calling the pragmatic concerns related to the Palestinian people, that is a chat. But also in virtue of the value of the life of the child, right? And I think it's deplorable not to include the life of the child there, 100%. No. What he's not doing is justifying the killing of babies ethically.
Norm Finkelstein, who has dedicated his entire life to speaking the truth about Israel's occupation, and Noam Chomsky and many others, even Edward Said, as I brought up earlier, believe that the de-Zionification or the displacement of Israelis from Israel proper, Jewish Israelis, is...
No, he's not saying it's a morally neutral act. Where does he say it's a morally neutral act? You guys need to, like, focus. Think about this like real thinkers, all right?
Oh, my God.
Where does he say it's morally neutral? That's a claim that needs to be justified in and of itself as well. He's omitting saying that the lives have value. He's not saying it's morally...
It's not justifiable, and it's not realistic.
Whether he's talking about West Bank or the fact that he's not talking about West Bank versus Israel proper, I think isn't relevant to what I'm saying. I'm saying is like, I'm not hearing him ethically justifying saying it's good, we ought to do it, it's good to kill these babies anywhere. Okay, if he said it in West Bank or in Israel proper or whatever you want to say, that I would condemn each iteration of that. I'm just not hearing it with respect to anything.
It's more so a single state solution, at least one that I advocate for, because I know a lot of people advocate for a two-state solution. I'm a one-stater, which would
Was there a question? I thought you said I have a question for you at the beginning of that.
I think he like sometimes loses where he's going with shit.
I gave you the question. You already answered it. You said I know your position on like violent.
He's not losing because he's just so he's rambling because he's trying to obfuscate. That's what's happening. That's why he's losing his direction. He's obfuscating endlessly because he knows that his moral positions are untenable. Keep in mind too, again, let's not even look at the context of what he's talking about. Let's back up and look at one level higher of the context of what's being spoken about. This is Hassan trying to kind of like save his relationship with his podcast co-host. So this is him at his most generous to Ethan's side, trying to communicate the most amount of understanding to Ethan's side, right? This should be over. You shouldn't have to be charitable at all, right? Like imagine if I'm trying to have an argument, or you're trying to have an argument with a parent or a significant other or a coworker, and you're like, okay, like, and you know maybe that you're in the wrong, or you're up for like fucking getting fired, or you're divorced, or broken up with, or something, or the friend group is going to kick you out of the group chat, and you're like, okay, guys, here's what I'm going to say. Now, I need you to be very charitable towards me. Fuck no. You'd be like, okay, I got to present the strongest case possible so that every motherfucker understands. It's going to require you to misinterpret me to think I'm not saying what I'm trying to say, right? Jesus.
Seizing back your land from settler occupiers.
That's not what they did.
So do you have any opinions on what conclusion we can draw from here, or what he's saying here, or are we all out to lunch? The conclusion I draw from here is that he's slimily not willing to condemn deplorable statements from his people who he's allied with politically. I think.
Why not, though? Why would he not condemn those statements? Is it inconceivable that maybe he won't condemn those statements because he agrees with them? Maybe. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe, possibly, maybe.
It's disgusting, and I think the fact that you don't include in your list of why it's bad to kill settler babies or settlers in general. The statement seemed to have brought it out more than that.
Well, but it didn't. He never said that. He never ever said it was really bad. Besides the fact that it wouldn't serve the ends of the Palestinians now, right?
Civilians or whatever is not just because of the blowback, but because of the, the inherent worth of the lives, But what I don't hear though is what was sold to me, in that Hassan said it was good to kill babies.
Though, and that's
These
what we're
guys,
talking
no, these guys, or at least I assume second thought, has the perspective that all matter of
he's
Israel is all matter of Israel proper is considered settler occupation.
and he's
which,
evil.
And again, that's more of the distancing, which I find fucking Weasley as fuck. He's like, oh, he thinks this on his view, XYZ. Yeah, I think that's Weasel scumfuck shit.
Thinking that. He is. Right after babies were murdered and decapitated.
Well, but when he's talking about those other people's views, he's talking about the views of the guys who were running a podcast that Hassan was on, listening to, and agreeing with the entire fucking time. They're not just random people. They're not just even random allies. They're not even close allies. They're not even friends who are allies. They are people who are friends who are allies that Hassan was on a show with, expressing these views that Hassan was agreeing with. Okay. Am I done? Did we make it to 4 times? Okay. One more minute.
all I'm saying,
No, I can't. No, this is dumb. I'm getting triggered. Okay, what is this? One more. This is the last one, and then no Pisco for a month, okay? I don't think Pisco's YouTube channel is going to survive to the end of the year. I can't understand how people could watch this. I don't even know who he's trying to appeal to here. It is like so... It is just... this is just like unbelievable amount of like...
Structure the conversation the way you
stupidity. I don't get it. I don't understand it all.
want, and what is it that you want to chat
I think
about?
it's pretty simple. Like just piggybacking off of the tail end of what I caught from Josiah there. I think my red line in terms of identifying who is a true coalition partner / ally to the cause would be that the person is committed to voting for Democrats in the general election, or independents that caucus with Democrats, obviously.
Based.
That's my red line in the general. So if somebody is using the Hassan strat, for example, of not endorsing in a general to try to extract
You're outta
concessions,
here.
I view that kind of electoral strategy as, I don't know if I can say this on YouTube without getting demonetized, but it's like a unaliving pact, a self-unaliving pact, to use that kind of strategy.
That's
You can
yes.
do that in the primary. You can do that in the primary. You can be fucking kind of ruthless in the primary, up to I think reasonable standards. Like, for example, maybe don't like spread lies that Josh Shapiro covered up a fucking murder. I feel like that is like very destructive kind of primary. But you can be like pretty combative and adversarial in a primary. But this strategy that lefties have, a lot of lefties have of potentially signaling, you know what, I might help Republicans win this election if I don't get this concession. That person is not a coalition partner. They're not an ally to Hassan specifically. He was just interviewed by, I don't know, some guy. He was interviewing some guy like a couple days ago, and the guy asked him, like, who are you going to tell your audience to vote for Democrats? And Hassan said, well, I have my people that I'm going to tell them to vote for. That's not a coalition partner. His only concern is transforming the Democratic Party to be more leftist,
Correct.
more
Socialist.
socialisty,
Communist.
more kind of like moving in his direction.
Not
That is his,
socialisty,
top of his
socialist.
Maslow's hierarchy of political needs. His is like transforming the Democratic Party into basically a socialist structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
He puts that above beating Republicans. I
Yes.
put beating Republicans above everything else. And so to that extent, I don't think me and him are on the same team.
True.
Yeah, I want to eventually get into like what it means to be on the same team and what it follows from it. But I'm just taking what I heard. I heard your test for who's a member of the coalition and who's a coalition partner. I heard it, and I want to ask you, therefore, on that test, Joe Manchin is not a coalition partner.
What?
Sorry.
For Joe, the fact that Joe Manchin can win elections in deep red places. Oh my God. This is what I said before, by the way. If socialists were serious about actually wanting to have electoral power in the United States, bro, if socialists could go out into purple or especially red America and start winning elections, whoo, do you have a seat at the table to start making big policy demands? Imagine if Manchin and Sinema were Justice Dems. Imagine if Manchin and Sinema were Sock Dems or socialists or Bernie Sanders aligned or whatever. Ooh, now your Kyle Kuklinskis, now all your Hassan Pikers, your loser socialists, now they have a big seat at the table. But when the only people you can ever win are in your massive plus 40 Dem district, why the fuck would we listen to you? If you, whether you vote or not, this is going to go to a Dem anyway, right? Your seat doesn't fucking matter. And if you're so unpopular with the broader party, you're probably going to lose eventually anyway. Like, why would they listen to you? You can't win seats. You can only infect and destroy from within. You can't win anything on your own. You can only infect and destroy what's in the Democratic Party. Show yourself. So I hope that they catch this. The comparison to Manchin is horrible. Manchin won in a place where no other Democrat could win. And they tried running a progressive against me. She got fucking, I think it was a she, right? Got annihilated in the primary. It was annihilated in the primary. Got annihilated. Okay? So it's not even, yeah. It's not the same thing. Manchin was only a partner with the Democrats because he voted with and worked with Joe Biden, and he won in a place where Democrats can't win traditionally. It's so difficult to get a Democrat to win there.
Explain. What do you mean?
Joe Manchin did not endorse Kamala Harris, refused to endorse Kamala Harris in 2024.
Is that true? Then yeah,
that
he was
true?
not a coalition partner in 2024.
Why are you trying to say
Oh, man. Hutch shouldn't grant it. It's a tricky question. Pisco is so good at the tricky, horrible analogies, and but I will say, I think I've glazed this guy. I've glazed this guy way too much. Okay, Hutch has done an exceptional. I don't know if he's on some shit or if it was. Did he finally go bald like a year or two ago? Whatever he did, his brain fucking activated. The neurons started firing. He's just very, very good on the fly at catching a lot of Pisco tricks that I don't even know if I could catch on the fly. But this is another one that Pisco just did.
We need more Joe Manchins.
Joe Manchin, the senator, at the time that I talk about him, was probably the most valuable Democrat that we had in the entire Senate.
Yeah, but you
Can't
want
speak
more
to
of
Joe
them.
Manchin's attitude in 2024. When I say I want more Joe Manchins, I mean I want more Democrats that can win in ruby red districts and states. That's what.
He's a god! He's a god! This guy's a god! Yes, correct. Yeah, he's got it. That's correct. Yep, that's right.
I mean,
You're willing to work
Just
with
to
people
clarify-
who are not part of your coalition and even elect them.
And notice,
Just to clarify,
notice
well,
how,
I'd forgotten about this, but he's right. Because
notice how Hutch gave the correct clarification, and then Pisco this is what I mean when I say Pisco's bad faith. So when I say bad faith, I'm still being nice enough that I'll say maybe he's just debate-brained on it, but like Hutch gave the appropriate clarification to demonstrate the absurdity of the generalized statement that Pisco made. And then what does Pisco do once Hutch clarifies? Pisco goes right back to the overly generalized statement, right? He goes right back to the overly generalized statement. What, hello? Did you hear what he just said? So you're willing to work with people who aren't coalition partners? Well, if they're winning elections in like highly contested places, sure. Oh, so you are willing to work with coalition partners who won't support. It's like, what the? Did you not listen to what he just said?
she said she was willing to get rid of the filibuster, so he refused to endorse. So
yeah, he was not
in late September.
Partner. And
Yeah, but
in that moment, he was not a coalition
if
partner.
not being a coalition partner isn't enough to get you to even pine for them to participate in elections and for Democrats to vote for them and to have more types of those people in certain situations where it makes it helpful, I just don't understand then what is meant. Like,
And listen to all the reasons. To have those people in certain situations that might make it helpful. So Hassan shitting on Dems and everybody calling Gavin Newsom a whatever the weird attacks are on him, or that Josh Shapiro, what was it, that he greenlit a murder or something, or that he looked over a murder and let it happen? I don't remember. I don't know what the claim is. Like, so these are, in certain circumstances, these are our good coalition partners. Oh my God.
why is it important that you're part of the coalition or not, if you will even think that we should have more non-coalition members as part of the Democratic Party?
I guess I'm separating a coalition of like voters and a coalition like a coalition that includes both the voters and the politicians, because you guys, if it came out that Hunter Biden was caught on camera sacrificing children and sucking up their adrenochrome, we just knew that 1,000%. That he ran in Nebraska and was competitive, I would vote for him, and I would encourage my viewers to vote for him as well.
But it's not like, but it's not like that, Hutch, because, and I'm trying to be respectful, like, it's not like, you know, hold my nose.
God, I hate it. Oh, Pisco's so condescending. I'm trying to be respectful. Motherfucker, you're the one who's acting like a retard here. Hutch is being respectful. I don't even know if you deserve that much respect at this point, because there's so many of these stupid fuck efforts that are trying to be respectful. Like what? Like Hutch is just not understanding? No, like you're the one who's intentionally obfuscating. And you do because you know you're incorrect on this point. He knows he's wrong on this point.
I'll vote for Hassan versus Donald Trump and these like ridiculous hypotheticals that we construct. It's like part of your view
Ridiculous.
is we need to have more types like Joe Manchin and actively encourage them to get involved in these different places. And so part of your view is to push for people who ostensibly would not be quote unquote coalition partners to be active members of the Democratic Party. And I'm sure
Like, it's such this is so obviously stupid. This is such a good question that fucking Josiah Hutch asked. Oh, would you want a Joe Manchin as like a congressman or a representative in like New York? Would you want a Joe Manchin senator in California? Would you want a Joe Manchin from fucking Massachusetts? Fuck no. That's where your bluest, most leftist political people should be. Joe Manchin was Joe Manchin because he was from West Virginia. That's what made him so important. And that's why he made him an important ally of the Democratic Party. Because he was a D in WV, okay?
sure if Manchin were running again, you would interview him, you would advocate strenuously that people vote for him, you wouldn't treat him the way that you...
Like, easy. Yeah, true, easy. Let's say that Joe Manchin ran again, but let's say he ran in New York. Would you support him then? Fuck no. No, what the fuck? Let's say that he ran again in Maine or whatever. No, you wouldn't support him then. No, that's the difference.
You treat Hassan.
No, I think I would push him on. You didn't endorse Kamala. What was
What
that all
the
about?
fuck?
I'm certain I would push him.
How do I
in
turn
that
those
respect.
off?
But if Joe Manchin himself announced a candidacy in West Virginia,
Yes,
and it looked
in
like
West
he could
Virginia.
win in that race,
In
I
West
would endorse
Virginia.
him even after this non-endorsement.
In West Virginia.
Even though he's not a coalition partner.
In West
Mamdani would
Virginia.
vote for him.
In
Yeah,
West
same thing with
Virginia.
Mamdani.
Mamdani in New York City didn't
New York
endorse
City.
Kamala Harris. I still encourage people to vote for him. And said I would
What is
vote
the
for him in New
teeth
York
of
City.
this
So I'm
coalition
applying
partner
different-
thing? Yeah, what's the teeth
Well,
of the
I'm
coalition
applying
partner?
I'm
Different
applying different
standards?
standards to
Different
like, the
venues.
politicians themselves and the voters. Like I'm
Well,
separating the two things. So because my highest order principle or my like guiding foundational kind of principle is the idea that we have to beat Republicans in elections by any means necessary.
And you're
I
holding
really mean
politicians
by
to a lower
any means
standard.
Yeah,
Then-
I am. Yeah.
No,
If it means
fuck,
your
Hutch got
principle,
derailed there a little bit.
guiding
No, it's not
foundational
that.
Principle is the idea that we have to beat Republicans in elections by any means necessary.
And you're
I
holding
really mean
politicians
by
to a lower standard.
No,
Yeah,
Then-
I am. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, if it means like expanding majorities and making it more difficult for Republicans to win future majorities.
Like, bro. I think even I would probably support Hassan and Vosh types if these guys were part of like pro-Palestinian movements that were constantly outside protesting the RNC, that were constantly outside protesting the Republican inauguration, that were constantly outside protesting at Republican event. Even I might be like, okay, sure, yeah, this is based. As long as they were out there protesting the actual Republicans and not just showing up to shit on the other liberals in the fucking protests. The fact that Hassan fucking dragged his ass out to fucking Minnesota to get some press shots in his stupid, retarded little fucking downy vest that says media or press or whatever, and then he spent part of that time shitting on Democrats there. Fuck you, you fucking loser. Like, it's not even remotely the same. Jesus.
Then yes, yeah.
What if someone assesses that streaming with Hassan increases the chance of Democratic majorities because you're able to convince them more to be part of like.
I would endorse that. I would endorse.
But Hassan doesn't want to work.
Stream, even though he's a tanky.
And I should say as a point of clarification, because I guess I understand where there's seeming dissonance there, at least superficially. It's hard to imagine endorsing or supporting somebody who wouldn't endorse or support the Democratic candidate unless he was meaningfully better than the Republican alternative. So that's what you mean. Like your even now your support for Manchin depends on him running an ally to the Democratic Party if he were running for office, right? If electing Joe Manchin, for example, if he was just going to caucus with the Republicans this time as an independent, then
fuck him.
You probably wouldn't waste your time.
True.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I understand all that. I'm not saying that it would be irrational for Hutch to behave that way or even to argue like, fuck, we're going to need more conservative Democrats in given places. I'm not saying that I even disagree with that. It's just like the test, therefore, of like.
When you're in the second half, you should watch the first half in which we have a three-way struggle sesh over whether Dems should campaign on prosecuting MAGA. I'm not going to watch that because I'm pretty sure you're soft compared to me now. Just I hate these motherfuckers, okay? You say expand the Supreme Court. I say we should have fucking 2 new Supreme Courts, okay? I hate these motherfuckers. Sorry. I think Hutch is way too soft on... I think Hutch is a little bit too electorally focused and not enough, like, future focused. I think that Hutch is way too soft, these motherfuckers. So I feel like I would probably... I don't watch bad things about my boy Hutch, okay? No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. I might go back in the beginning and watch. We'll see.
Whether you're a coalition partner, it just seems to mean very little. That there's no like necessary entailment from it. There's no like you should treat them bad necessarily. There's no you shouldn't work with them necessarily. There's no, and so I'm just like, well, then what is left of this whole are you a member of the coalition thing? I don't even understand. Like, therefore, like, why does it matter that you are or not? Does it just mean like me, like I like you or you don't like them? Like I don't understand what's left of this coalition thing.
When I say coalition, I mean anti-MAGA, anti-Republican Party coalition, a coalition that is focused primarily on taking power from Republicans. And
yes.
So if I'm confronted with a leftist or any other person who is only interested in boosting candidates that they personally like and will take actions and
that they personally like at the expense of other Democrats. Again, I've said this a million times. Now, like I give this as quote unquote advice. How do I turn off epic fucking achievements? I don't ever want to fucking do these. I give this as quote unquote advice, but obviously they don't want it because they don't care about electoral power. If progressives really wanted to, like, think about when I talked about strategizing for like assuming I have the money to do it and the time and everything, which I think I will, right? When we go to do districts, like, what do I want to do? What would I want to do to showcase the effectiveness of my community, right? The questions that I was asking was, what are districts that I think the Democratic Party is not going to have a heavy presence in? So like plus 5 or 6 Republican districts that have won it, plus 5 or 6 that the DCC is not directly involved in and that there's not a ton of funding in, that we could go and flip. Because what would that do? Because it would demonstrate the power of my community to do something. And it would give us, I think, a decent seat at the table to talk to other politicians, right? Because look at the change we made. If I was just like, DGG, we're going to go and we're going to support our dude who's like an epic and base DGGer in like a plus 60 fucking Vermont district or whatever, like the fuck? Why? You're just going to go and throw your resources at fucking over your own party when every day the battle becomes more existential? We might not even be avoiding hell now. We might just be avoiding the deeper layers of hell at this point, okay? Like, why the fuck would you do that? And that's what these lefties do.
and will take actions that materially help Republicans in some races because maybe the Democrat, they don't actually like them, then they are opposition, right? I don't understand how they're not political opposition.
They are.
If by definition you're defining opposition.
And now he goes to the super general. Well, if by definition you're just going to define opposition as not being part of the coalition by supporting the candidate, then that means you shouldn't support Joe Manchin because that's the same thing as Hassan Parker.
I mean, someone who would
help Republicans.
If that's the definition of opposition, then they're trivially opposition. You've just defined opposition in such a way.
Trivial.
But I mean, when I say trivial,
that's the whole game, right?
When I say trivial, I'm using it as a term of art to mean the definition you provided. You're just stating facts that conclude the definition with respect to these different actors. And so when you ask, wouldn't that obviously be oppositional? Well, yeah, if you define opposition that way, trivial in the sense that all you've done is you've looked at the language of the definition and you just set out those facts about a hypothetical person. And so I have to grant you on your terminology that they would be opposition. So I mean, it's not like
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, I would consider them opposition because they are opposing my political goals.
Like Joe Manchin was.
There could be narrow instances or narrow examples of him opposing my goals. So he was, in my opinion, if that's true that he didn't endorse Kamala, then in 2024 I would consider him opposition.
Right. But then I'm like, well, then what is the significance of being labeled opposition? If you're labeled opposition and not part of the political coalition, but someone like you, who I think is very based in harm reduction, and you really do want to see the country better off, and not in the hands of like this fascist threat, you're willing to work with the opposition when it suits your interest. And when you think, and even think that like
they wouldn't be my
model.
opposition if they were on the same page as me, though. That's my point. You're not my opposition if you're like a Marxist-Leninist who, maybe your ultimate goal is like a socialist revolution. But if you're on the same page about helping to elect Democrats because you think that helps your goal, then sure, we can be on the same team for that election cycle. And I disagree that that's going to lead to a socialist revolution, so I'm not that concerned about it.
Sure. Then it just feels like the vanguard on that view, or at least Zach from the vanguard, would be part of the coalition, and Joe Manchin would not in 2024. That's not how you act.
I'm not trying to attack a show or anything, but also like because for Live and Learn, this is probably one of the largest, no, I guess that's not totally true. It depends on how large you expand. For like young liberal podcasts, for like multiple liberal content creators coming together, I'm trying to think who else exists, because you have like your older audiences for like the Bulwark and everything else. How much time do they spend on this fucking the leftist infighting shit? Like, just do liberal shit and fuck the Republicans. I'm sure they do a lot. They do a lot of that as well. But this like constant like, how do we appeal to the tankies that think we're the same thing as the fascists? Like, you don't. Fuck them.
I think they're opposition, and I think that we're touching on something a little bit different here. Like, there's a couple things. So they say that they'll support whoever the nominee is in 2028. I just frankly don't believe them. So they could surprise me. That's fine. Or they could do the thing that like Emma Vigeland did. She's like a really good example of someone who, endorsed Kamala Harris, told her followers that they should vote for Kamala Harris. And at the same time, she was like undercutting Kamala rhetorically along the way in a way that I think like suppressed his turnout.
Well, I don't know if Manchin has as much. Are you suggesting that Vanguard has more influence than Manchin? And that Manchin wasn't also saying things like, she's not competent, she's not.
Oh my God.
It does feel like.
No, I'm not saying that they have.
It feels like Manchin
I'm not saying that they're.
Also, by the way, even if Manchin said that, Hutch should own that he would still support him. Because what is Manchin fighting for at the end of the day? Manchin is fighting for a 100% guaranteed Republican seat. If Manchin's out of there, that's a Republican seat, 100%. If the leftists all disappeared tomorrow, then what? We're not losing. There are no fucking socialists holding seats that we wouldn't be able to, capture with ordinary Dems. Like, that's not the case anywhere. Or there are no fucking federal seats held by socialists, unless you count Bernie Sanders, maybe.
I'm not trying to interrupt you. I think it's really. I really am not trying to interrupt you.
It seems like you're going for like a gotcha with Manchin, but if Manchin is opposed to helping every Democrat on the ticket in 2028, then he's my opposition, right?
No, we can just put Manchin to the side. I think the point I'm trying to illustrate is I don't actually even disagree with you saying, well, you have to work with Manchin in certain cases, or people like Manchin, even when they are obstinate because of the realities of the situation. And so like there, not much fight with me on that. It just means that like the significance of being labeled opposition just simply seems to be, did you endorse or not? And there's no additional
oh my God,
that's how you should treat them. There's like way more facts that need to be known before any other kind of like entailment, by which I mean any kind of necessary response emerges. And in fact, it might even be smart sometimes to bring people who maybe were opposite.
Like, this is also like, if you're having, and I feel like Pisco was so good at this when we used to argue in the past, if you're having like a collaborative conversation with somebody, you would never interpret them so stupidly. Like, what do you think is important, Hutch, for determining whether or not, we include somebody in our coalition? It's like, well, I think supporting the candidate is important. Oh, really? That's it. So if they support the candidate, but they murder the candidate, you think that person's okay? Just because they say they'll vote for the dead body after they murder them? It's like, okay, well, fucking obviously that's not what the fuck I'm saying. What the fuck? What kind of fucking question is that? Like, for him to be like, well, obviously, it can't be unidimensional, that there's only one single variable, and it's only whether or not they support. Well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Nobody fucking speaks like that. That's a crazy way to approach this. Like, of course, unless you think Hutch is an actual fucking retard. If you think Hutch is retarded, then sure. Or if you're trying to own somebody on like a super Omega debate floor or whatever, then sure. But like, Jesus Christ.
Or who moonlight in opposition to your side and treat them very, very well. And so that's what I'm trying to say, is not that your responses to Manchin don't ever make sense, but that the Manchin example shows that this term, not part of the coalition, not part of our group, not part of, or part of the opposition, doesn't have a lot of weight other than to just be a synonym for didn't endorse. I hope that makes sense.
Well, I'm trying to use this. Yeah, go ahead, Josiah.
Just real quick, there's a chatter there, and he raises a good point, but I think it cites it needs some clarity here. So he says, Manchin helps a coalition in a way a politician is supposed to by voting with Democrats. Hassan is a pundit. He did not help the way that a pundit is supposed to. And my only quibble there is the timeline that Pisco is referring to, Manchin was no longer in office.
He was a sitting senator,
that would be like a separate...
Wait, when did his term expire? Was it January 2025?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. So he was a lame duck senator, not seeking re-election, but he was technically in office. And
he was fucking up in office. He was like not voting. He was like not voting for Democrats nominees either. He was fucking shit up in the Senate. He was doing a bunch of that shit too. So like, and also senators can wear different hats. Like, I don't think he was operating as like a senator in that sense with respect to like the legislation when he goes on fucking shows to talk shit about Kamala, which he did.
I thought wasn't fucking Josiah IRI would know this more than me, but wasn't Manchin part of like a pretty big outplay working with Biden when it came to the Inflation Reduction Act? Where Manchin was able to like make a pretty crazy vote maneuver in terms of, I don't know if it was misleading, if he was fucking with McConnell or what, in terms of getting that act passed. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember the details of this, but I'm pretty sure Manchin was like a pretty significant piece in that happening. But, okay.
Right. And so I understand, I take the point, but I think that I disagree. I guess ultimately I think that Manchin did have an obligation to endorse Kamala Harris. I think the expectation needs to be the same. I think it's possible, because I think Pisco himself would agree with this. You would rather have a Democratic alliance.
But then keep in mind also, I know Josiah knows this, but Manchin's like, he's a lame dog. He's not even running again. So you're not even giving anything to say like, oh, well, Manchin, I'm not going to support that guy because he's not running for re-election. Okay, that's an easy give. Okay, yeah, you got me. Okay.
Joe Manchin in West Virginia, then a Republican. So there he has utility to the Democratic Party.
Yes.
But also as a thought leader in the anti-Trump coalition, he also had an obligation to endorse Kamala Harris and did not.
But Manchin was never seen as a thought leader in the anti-Trump coalition, right? Like nobody in the Democratic Party was looking to Manchin. It's like, oh, what do we do? Somebody get Manchin on the phone. Like, what's the future of our party? Manchin was like a necessary evil that we were kind of working with, because like, well, this is the guy. Whew, he's the only one we got. He got very popular in his state for a period of time because of just the wacky shit or whatever. But like Manchin and cinema were so contentiously brought up by every fucking Democratic pundit and other Democrats in the country, I think.
One quick thing. I think, unfortunately, there's something very uncomfortable about what we're discovering now with this Manchin example, which is it is an undeniable fact that Hassan signaled more that he was going to vote for Kamala than Manchin. And if that's the only thing that we're assessing on whether you're in opposition or not, then
like it's just like it's so stupid. Like Manchin, the lame duck senator in West Virginia, who, by the way, I don't think markets himself as like a fucking Democratic thought leader, right? Does Manchin say that? If I go check his like Twitter or his Instagram, is Manchin like, hello, I'm here to start helping you build a better Democratic Party for tomorrow? Does he market himself? Does he have a podcast and I missed all that? Maybe he has a big Twitch channel. I just don't know about it. Like, bro, it's Manchin.
Unfortunately, just based on the empirical evidence and the tests you provided, Manchin in 2024 was more opposition than Hassan Pike.
I mean, I could even grant you that, and I don't understand how it undercuts my thinking at all.
Well, I'm not saying that it necessarily does. I'm just saying it doesn't seem that there's much significance to this label opposition if it doesn't really reflect how we're going to view a person, what we're going to do with the person, and whether or not that person should be like welcomed back. There's other stuff, and so it's just the opposition label, the coalition. It's a red herring. It's just being used as a synonym for did you endorse or not. But there's not any other necessary entailment or prescription that comes after that.
There's other things that come beyond just like an endorsement. Like the second order thing that I would focus on is like a good faith analysis. I mean good faith by like both in the sense that I know that this person is going to do what they can to just to not like lie and deceive, but also I know that this like commentator or pundit or whoever, this is someone that I can rely on to be rigorous in their fact checking and make sure that they're taking steps on their end to be like reliable sources of information. And that's where I think people like Vanguard and unfortunately Kyle Kalinske to a lesser degree are not rigorous in the stuff that they report on their channels. They will see stuff that pops up on their. You were watching the Kyle Kalinske video and you saw that he was like amplifying like a CCP propagandist to make a point about the Democratic Party. I can't even remember what the specific point was. That to me I think is extremely destructive because it
was more like it wasn't for its factual component, it was for like the analysis. And yeah, I saw the account. I'm like, they should probably like before they put some, unless they're specific, this is a viewer thing or this is what people are saying on Twitter as like a segment or something. And again, unfortunately, the video didn't provide enough context for me to assess whether it was responsible or not. And that's one of the failures of the video, is to give a foundation for why any given instance of look at Twitter bros, that it was irresponsible, because there can be uses of Twitter as news. Zaya, for example, will often, as part of his segments, look to the response on Twitter. It just is a fact that it is part of the commentary because people who are important are talking on Twitter, or maybe even not important, just have an interesting view. And so I think there's more to show that specific usage was irresponsible. But on your substantive point, I'm fine. Like, there are definitely things that would distinguish Manchin, Hassan, Vanguard, all these people, all right, in many different ways that you would have to be a fool not to think about. And I understand that, but I think that we need to get over the simplistic opposition coalition language and say, well, the reason you shouldn't hang out with Hassan, the reason you shouldn't hang out with the Vanguard isn't because they refuse to endorse, they didn't endorse strenuously enough. It's because they're liars. It's because the balance of their coverage is this. It's because there's a way higher standard for a pundit than
these are all things that everybody else has said. Well, like, why is he sort of pretending like he's discovering a better formulation for this argument? Yeah, this is what everybody has been saying. Yeah, no shit, no?
Elected politician. And like, let's get to the meat of the basis of the prescriptions and not just do the simplistic on-off switch of coalition.
Well, I feel like this has come up a lot, and maybe I'm not articulating myself well. I'm not even being insincere. Like, it's possible. My chat just introduced me to a Reddit thread where they were unpacking how I can be bad with my language sometimes or inarticulate. But I've never told you, and I've never told Josiah, and I've never told anyone else, like, do not talk to Vanguard, do not talk to Kyle, do not talk to Crystal or Emma. I don't even care. Like, it's not even my preference that you be just like outwardly hostile towards these people all the time. My only thing that I'm asking of people is to just push back in the particularly egregious cases and highlight the absurd claims that are thrown around very flippantly in those circles. Like the claim that Josh Shapiro covered up a murder.
I think it's ridiculous.
Absurd. I think it's ridiculous.
And I will talk to him about it. Yeah.
But the problem with that, Pisco, is that took me about fucking 2 minutes, 2 to 4 minutes of Google searching to get information about like, and all you need to know about why that's absurd is like, who is the one that gets to decide if a death is reclassified from a self-unaliving to a homicide? It's not the governor. It's like the coroner or whatever. It's like the local,
he was AG.
Local,
he was AG at the time, but
no, but the AG doesn't have the power to.
I'm just saying. I'm just correcting on the fact that it was when he was AG is when they're alleging the malfeasance. But I agree with you on the disposition
Did I say governor? Yeah.
Yeah. No worries. I just want to make sure people. I think that you knew that. I wanted. That's why I'm not correcting you to be an asshole. I'm just saying it because
I meant he was AG at the time. I misspoke. But like that example is so bad. It implies a level of recklessness that, like, I think if you do what we do for a living, you should have some fucking pride in your work. Okay, like
this is one of the reasons why I hate politics. Why I now have a second Arc Raiders account so that I can have two different, a Care Bear and a PvP account. Okay, what Hodge is explaining, this is such a stupid thing to have to ever go over because everybody intuitively knows this. Everybody intuitively knows this. That's why, like, most of what I've done over the past, I'm trying to just think of like what's a snappy analogy or what's a snappy example that I can give up so that I can just access your intuitions, because I shouldn't have to ever explain this thing, right? So like the response of like, what do you think about Trump trying to overthrow democracy in the United States? It's like, well, it's probably, I don't know, it's not great, I guess, And it's like, what the fuck kind of response to that? What, like, if I walked into your house and I wanted to eat your animal, like, what would you say? Would you say, well, I don't know about how I feel, right? You have a much stronger response. You can gauge the sincerity of a person. You can gauge where a person's at sometimes by the magnitude, by the level of their response, or by the amount of coverage they give to a certain issue, or by the things they say or don't say, or by the way that they cover, or by the topics they choose to cover. This is not like a thing that I should even have to say. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this intuitively. Every single person knows this intuitively. We know this in some cases weekly when we watch the news or listen to somebody talk about politics. In some cases very strongly. You're hanging out with friends and you see a guy who's been unusually chipper lately and he's like looking at his phone way more than usual. And it's like, you motherfucker, you're texting your ex. You're not supposed to talk to that bitch anymore. You're fucking retarded. You know that instantly, right? You're not sitting here going through a bunch of like if your friend were to respond to you, and they might even try to, it's like, actually, I could be text messaging any single person right now, and you actually didn't even see my phone, and you actually have no idea who. It's like, motherfucker, like, we're not retarded, But like people like Pisco treat you like you're retarded. Like they're acting like we have no intuitions, we have no understanding of what's going on. We're all like playing this game. Meanwhile, go to Hassan's audience. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows the game that's being played. It's like, why the fuck are we pretending otherwise?
I think you have a responsibility to your audience who look to you as a reliable source of information.
Well, I'm saying this with respect to because Hudge is having to explain this thing, and you guys know this by now from watching my stream. There are certain phrases or words or misinformation that people can deliver where the microsecond you hear it, you're like, oh shit, oh shit, this motherfucker, right? Like instantaneously, you know it. You can extrapolate so much from how they respond to a certain political question or whatever, and to pretend otherwise, like, come on.
Do everything in your power to make sure that the things that you're saying are accurate. And everyone's going to make mistakes. Everyone is going to get the facts wrong on this or that thing. I'm not demanding perfection. I am demanding, as a reasonable standard, that you do a cursory fucking Google search. When you hear a claim like Josh Shapiro covered up a murder, you fucking just like Google it, bro.
I agree. I agree with that. But I want to push back on Timothy Douglas in the chat. It says, Pisco, no, not I will talk to them later. One of the reasons why I said I wanted to talk to them later is because I recall briefly looking into it in a cursory way during the conversations about VP, but I wasn't prepared in the moment to even know the name of the girl who was stabbed so many times and the facts of it. And one of the things that I don't want to do in any given situation is initiate a pushback when I'm not confident that I will be able to do so effectively. And so one of the reasons why I said we can talk about that later is because I was fairly convinced that, I'm actually quite convinced that it's not the case. And I remember doing a cursory look.
Like, what Pisco is saying here is fair, but it's besides the point. You should be upset. Like, there are people that I've had multiple debates with. I'll run that card once or twice with you if you bring up some shit and I didn't know about it and then I look it up later and it's wrong. But you've heard me say this over and over again where somebody will say, well, in this case, when this thing happened, blah, blah, blah. And if I don't know the facts of it, you've heard me say this so many times. I'll just say like, you know what? I don't know the details of this, but I'm pretty sure if I look it up, it's going to be the exact fucking opposite of what you're saying, because every single other time I've looked up some shit that you brought up that I didn't know about, it's been the exact fucking opposite of what you said. So I don't even think I believe you on this story. So we're not even going to go with this example. Or we can look it up right now. We can say it later right the fuck now. Like, you should be upset that somebody is misleading you like that, because that is what they're doing, right? And even what Hutch is saying is not strictly true, where Hutch is like, it would just take a Google search. Hutch was more correct earlier when he was like, this is like a gross negligence or an intentional negligence. It's not that they didn't do the Google search to check if they were right or wrong. It's that they didn't care if they were right or wrong. The goal isn't to be right or wrong. The goal is to attack a certain person. And insofar as the goal is to attack a certain person, then you'll accept any statement that's negative about the person. It really doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. What matters is how many people believe it.
But in the moment, I wasn't confident in my ability to recite them. And there's nothing...
Again, like, it's not like... I hate even giving examples. It's so stupid. If I'm on a debate platform and somebody's like, oh, like, what do you think of Pisco? And it's like, Pisco, I think he's okay. Didn't he murder, like, 3 people, though? And it's like, if Pisco heard that, or what, the people claiming he's a fake lawyer or whatever, if Pisco heard that, he'd be like, wait, why the fuck did you say you thought I murdered 3 people? And I'm like, I don't know, I think I read that on... I think I saw, like, a tweet about this or whatever. Like, Pisco wouldn't say, well... I feel like you should have a greater responsibility, like all the things I was just saying. Pisco wouldn't say, well, I think you have a greater responsibility to your audience to at least do a Google cursory search to see if the claim that you're making is true or accurate. Pisco would be like, why the fuck would you just believe that, like, completely, without fact-checking that for 1 second? And you, like, what the fuck, right? He would be incensed about it. Rightfully so, he would be upset. Like, how could you just believe that? Wait, what the fuck?
Wrong. You guys took it, and I think Timothy Douglas took it as like, oh, he's running away from disagreement in that moment. What I wanted to do was me do my due diligence and not to initiate a conversation where they could potentially run laps around me and I would fail in my duty. So what I did was, I think responsible, I don't think people should have an issue with it, is to say, hey, like, let's focus on this other part, we can talk about that later. And when I go and talk to them about it, I will sound way smarter and I will be able to be more convincing to them and their audience than in that moment if I just did it off the cuff. I'm like, wait a second, this isn't even true, and doing this on the fly, which can be very difficult sometimes and make you look bad. And so, but everyone was shouting at me like, how could you just let that stand? How could you just let that stand? Like, isn't that fucked up? For like, why is it wrong for me to like say, hey, we can talk about that later? Especially when I'm thinking like, oh shit, what was the murder called? When was it? I don't have a timeline. Like, in order to do that and to do it effectively, you need to actually be prepared.
So I think that's reasonable. I mean, Josiah, you've been quiet for a little bit. I'm wondering if you have some thoughts here.
Well, I just saw the new Piers Morgan panel with Ethan Klein on it. It's the first time.
What?
Benny Johnson. I'm talking about Don Lemon. It's going to be Glenn Beck, Benny Johnson, Ethan Klein, talking about Don Lemon, the Epstein files, and some what. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, look, I guess I just don't have a particular dog in this. I didn't see Pisco's conversation with the Vanguard. My position is, as far as the coalition goes, and I go right back where I started. If you have a stated preference for the Democratic Party over the Republican Party, I consider you in my coalition, particularly if that manifests in a call to action to vote. The reason I would consider the Vanguard more coalition adjacent than Hassan is because, based on my understanding, Hassan never did anything. He doesn't say. Not only did he not.
Why is this guy on your podcasting? What are you saying? Oh shit, I guess, yeah, but I don't have any... What, do you need a cooling coil? Or rusty gear? Oh, he's giving me shit.
Oh, I'll take the rusty gear. But yeah, if you don't have either of those, you can take them.
Well, never mind, this guy's so nice. Do you need a light bulb or industrial battery? Or a Raider hatch key?
I'll take a light bulb. Yeah, that's a fair trade. Actually, yeah, let's go escape.
Bro, this...
Kamala Harris, as far as I'm aware, but in the clips that I've seen, like Hutch provide, like there was one where I guess he was in Minneapolis, and he just gave the asinine comment that this would have happened under a Democratic administration. Like, that's just incredibly reductive and irresponsible. I don't think the Vanguard would say something like that. If they did, they would be objectively wrong. I know that Kyle, I use Kyle as the example while Hutch had us deafened. Kyle dropped the ball in 2016. He dropped the ball in 2020. He picked the ball back up in 2023, right before Gaza, then dropped it again. And I don't think he ever explicitly endorsed Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. But my grace for Kyle has come for what he has said since then, which is that the resistance libs were right, and he would vote for Joe Manchin over any Republican. He would go out and vote for Joe Manchin over any Republican. And so I'm willing to show him some grace there. Now, if Kyle Kalinske drops the ball again in 2028 and just says, you know what, both sides are the same, or I'm not endorsing or supporting, then that's the end of our bridge. I could still be friendly to him, but that'd be the end of our political coalition.
I just want to say, like, I think that Josiah's summary there is fine. I totally agree that for me, the more relevant thing is like now. That's why I treat Richard Hanania differently than I treat someone like Rob Noor, who I treat very differently than someone like
or Liz Cheney.
There's
Cheney.
There's skills here, but I have no problem on specific issues like contradicting or calling out Kyle. Unfortunately, sometimes when I want to do that, it might be something that some libs don't like.
Like, I don't like the examples that Pisco uses are so mindfucky. Like, Nobody cares that you debate Rob Noor. You're not talking about bringing Rob Noor into the left-leaning coalition. Nobody cares that you debate whatever the fuck other names that he said. It's the fact that you're saying that these are people that we should consider as allies and then promote them as such or encourage other people to, perceive them as such. Like, that's the issue.
Just saw him today on the Epstein files make all sorts of, in my opinion, what I feel are wild extrapolations in terms of the certainty of knowledge. Even though he gives this kind of statement, we don't know that all these specific allegations are true about Trump on some things, he, without any qualification or equivocation, says that we know for sure that Trump is a rapist with respect to children. He knows for certain that...
But Alex Preddy was the victim of a targeted assassination.
Oh, yeah, he says that too. I think that, he doesn't caveat the way he should. I don't think that's responsible. I don't think that's right. And I would talk to him about that stuff. The thing is, like, I understand that, and I understand that there are good criticisms that can be made of him, of me, of Crystal, of all these, of Josiah, all that shit. At the end of the day, for me, they are disagreements. They are disagreements, and they might, in fact, be discrete. Maybe they're broader in the sense of like who this person is and their continuing coverage of events. But what I'm interested in is like, what is the so what? English teachers ask, so what? So what to your essay? What is like the call to action? What is the thing that I'm not doing that I ought do? And where's the best example of that so that I can understand why so many people seem to raise this like, you're bootlicking for tankies, come into tanky yourself. These people are not part of the coalition. Where is the thing that I'm not doing or that I am doing where I either should do it or should refrain from doing it?
My answer to that question is to be more confrontational. Just generally, just to be more confrontational when in the face of some of these, you said not responsible, I will say reckless. I think Kyle is just reckless. I think he's been reckless throughout his entire career, and I think he's just a reckless kind of person that does not seem to do. I mean, I feel like he was different because I'm told that he used to put sources in the description of his videos, and now that just doesn't happen anymore. And so I'm told, I didn't follow his career closely, but I'm told that he used to be better in that respect. But in the particular case with Vanguard and the Shapiro thing, I think that's reasonable if you're not keyed in on the facts. Like, that happens all the time when you have conversations with like insane conspiracy theory people like Rob Noor, for example.
Yeah.
Like, he can go on a fucking 30-minute rant about like really.
But I'm more familiar with those facts usually. And I saw a comment from Timothy Douglas again in the chat. Was like, well, you wouldn't do that for MAGA. Usually, because I spend more time covering MAGA, I like know about the Burisma stuff.
But you're not trying to make those people your coalition partners.
I know about it, the different allegations about Alvin Bragg and this and that, and so I'm able to like almost magically in front of the audience's eyes, I have the capability because I'm just more well read. But it actually does take a lot of facts to contradict some of the conspiracies. And on the left, I just spend less time on that than I do on the right. And maybe that's what I should do more, is spend more time on conspiracy on the left. But I just don't know in virtue of what should I. Like, I feel like I should spend most of my time on the MAGA stuff because that's like my primary enemy.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm not going to spend. I mean, I shouldn't say not spend, because there are times on Twitter and in my YouTube videos where I'll call out, people on the left or even Democrats as well. So I'm not going to say that it's just never going to be my primary focus. And again, for me, the line is, that's just me. Do you prefer the Democrats to the Republicans? Will you urge your people to vote for Democrats over the Republicans? So now let's say that you have a commentator who says, yes, I recognize that the Democrats on their worst day are better than the Republicans on their best day, but I'm not going to encourage my chat to vote for them. Then I would say I would probably leave myself open to engaging with them, but I don't think I would consider them part of the coalition. So let's say Zach and Gavin from the Vanguard come out and say Josiah, which I don't even know if I consider them part of the coalition anyway. I haven't really thought about this, but I like the guys, and they've been friendly with me. We've had some heated back and forth.
These are the Vanguard people, right?
And I've gone back and forth on when they've had me on their show 2 or 3 times. But let's say they come to me and they say, Josiah, listen, we recognize empirically the Democratic Party is better than the Republican Party, but we're not going to encourage our audience to vote for Democrats in 2028. And then I would probably say, well, listen, we can still be buddies or whatever. I'll test your, check your polls from time to time, but we're not part of the same coalition. And so I'm going to spend less time, trying to do outreach or whatever. That's how I look at it. It's got to be a stated preference, and it's got to be a call to action to vote for the Democrats when push comes to shove. And that goes for Kyle too. If Kyle, reneges on it like he did in 2016, 2020, 2024, that would be the end of. You would see a lot less Kyle content on my channel, a lot less me covering Kyle in very flattering lights when he goes on.
100%. And there's tons of proof of this, because like if Kyle was talking like Cenk Uygur, you don't think that we'd be calling him out? I take whenever I see something like negative, like Cenk Uygur doing a false equivalence. He did it the other day, where he even said that Biden opened the border or something, like they weren't enforcing the border, and that was madness. And that's part of the uniparty shit. Like, it was the most stupid fucking thing there's ever been. And if he was talking like that, making a false equivalence or in that kind of respect, I would be calling that out. And the final thing I'll let you talk. I'm sorry. Timothy Douglas says, treat a leftist saying Shapiro covered up murder the same way you treat a MAGA saying it. And that's not like, we'll have a conversation about it later. Do Willikers, I guess I'll talk to you about it later.
True.
If I say something like, you guys are fucking liars, this is so wrong, whatever, and they call me on it in that moment, and I like don't have the best command of the facts in that moment, like, do you understand that if I write a check that I can't cash and they call me on it, it looks fucking horrible?
But
and
it's
you look like
different.
an idiot saying that if I'm not confident in the moment to have that discussion, that I should.
I hope somebody catches on this. You're trying to make these people coalition partners. And you know what? Pisco knows this. The strongest point of evidence of Pisco knowing this too, oh my God, and he really does know it. I think it's more intentional. Do you remember when we had our debate? And I was calling him out for him being friendly with people that I think he shouldn't be as friendly with. And then he tried to do well, aren't you really friendly with Myron Gaines? Which I am. We do have a decently friendly relationship. And then I asked him, I was like, here's the difference. How much of my audience do you think agrees with the things that Myron Gaines says, or thinks that I agree with the things that Myron Gaines said, versus how many people think that you agree with like the crazy tanky shit? And he started to answer the question or something, and then he immediately stopped because he realized Oh no, fuck. I think I even asked I asked a slightly different question, and then he started to say that, and then he stopped like halfway through because he realized like, oh fuck, okay, never mind. Yeah, like he's completely fucked on that point. He's cooked on that point, which is the issue, right? If Hassan loses a debate to fucking Rob Noor, doesn't know the facts about, I think, to Rob Noor, and because he assumes he's lying about it because he's trashing Democrats because that's what MAGA does. I mean, then it's whatever. But like the issue is that it seems like he's kind of co-signing what a lot of the Vanguard is saying. So when you say I don't know to Rob Noor, what the audience is hearing is like, okay, we need to fact check this shit because we know these MAGA people are pretty shifty. But when he says I don't know about to the Vanguard, who are our political allies, and it's like, okay, well maybe what they're saying is true. We'll have to dig into it later, you know. Destiny, this clip.
Logically aligned with you.
Do you agree? Did you agree that you had a nice tone with Myron Kane?
Nobody will come
Yes
out of that.
or no?
It is a
Do you agree that
combative
you had a
tone.
nice tone with
Nobody
Myron?
will come out of that
Okay,
conversation. Tone is more than just your like actual timbre of
playing
voice.
footsies,
How
were
many?
you?
Hold on. How many
Yeah,
people
you're
would come out of that conversation thinking, "Wow, Destiny and Myron seem to agree on quite a bit"?
And how many people would come out of my conversation think, well,
careful! You got yourself because you knew how much you knew how full of shit you were. Oh my God! Exposed in 8K, 120 FPS, fucking 120 frame rate, 240 refresh rate on monitor, broadcasting live. All of them.
He absolutely realized how, like, he knows this. He knows there's a difference when you're talking to Rob Noor and when you're talking to the Vanguard, right? But he conflates it endlessly. It's got to be intentional.
Should anyway, or to have a strong position and be like, yeah, well, I know you're wrong, and I just don't remember. Like, this is so stupid. Obviously, the right thing in that context is to say, I don't agree with you. I think that's wrong. Let's talk about it later. And unfortunately, you're saying, no, I had to have known all of those facts. I had to have known to debate it in that moment. And even if I didn't, I should have like puffed up my chest and say, I know it, so that they can just call me on it and I can look like a fucking idiot. That's what you would do, Timothy, because you are an idiot. Sorry, Hutch, good.
Well, I'll also say, I'm sorry, real quick, as a chat, and not to give one guide, I understand what they're saying. I just disagree with it. People are saying that Cenk and Kyle are the same. I don't think even Hutch would say that. I mean, Kyle's gone after Cenk nonstop. Since Cenk started his like MAGA diplomacy thing. I mean, one of the worst ass beatings we've seen in like alternative media was the conversation that Cenk had with Crystal on Breaking Points. Like I think right before Trump was inaugurated, or shortly thereafter. Like I do think there's a meaningful difference between Kyle and Crystal's commentary and what Cenk is doing. I mean, Cenk is talking about breaking bread with MAGA, and he's you know he has all the negatives associated with Crystal and Kyle, and I think very little by way of the positives. Like Hutch, would you agree that you think
Cenk is worse? I mean, I would say Cenk is worse, but I would push back against the idea that Kyle doesn't do false equivalencies with the Democrats and Republicans. I just watched a video just like a week and a half ago where in the video he, in no uncertain terms, basically described the Democratic Party, while they're the minority, by the way, as Republican light. I mean, you can call that colorful language or hyperbole if you want, but I find that to be extremely destructive. And I know I brought it up in our conversation, Pisco, but I'll bring it up again because I don't know if he saw that. It was a couple weeks ago. I just pulled up, I'll check in with Kyle's videos like once every couple weeks on stream. So I just pulled up the first video that I saw where he was talking about the Democratic Party. And in that video, he made a claim, speaking of the recklessness that we were talking about before, that Gavin Newsom vetoed a single-payer bill in California. That might not seem to be like a big deal on the surface, but I think there's more to that kind of rhetoric than meets the eye.
Yep.
Because I think Kyle is in that moment.
Before, maybe Hutch will say this, the issue is that you are not criticizing, because people will say these things like, oh, you should be able to criticize somebody in the primaries and then come together in the general. Depending on the type, this is going to be my surveyor vote. But depending on the types of criticisms you levy against a person, there is no come together, bro. You can't call somebody Genocide Joe, Genocide Joe, Genocide Joe, Genocide Joe, Genocide Joe, Genocide. And now it's the elections that say, okay, guys, let's vote for Joe Biden. Like, what the fuck? You can't do that, bro. You call this guy a genocidal freak for how long? Nobody's going to vote for this dude. You can't say that. You can't give the worst attacks possible on these people and then pretend like your audience is going to, especially when you don't enthusiastically support them in the primary.
He is basically telling his audience that Gavin Newsom committed a cardinal sin.
Yes.
When you look at the priorities of Kyle Kulinski's political wing of the last like 10, 15 years, it's been Medicare for all, single payer healthcare. That's been like the number one goal for their movement. And so to say that a bill to give everyone in California single payer healthcare landed on Biden's desk and he vetoed it, I think he's actually communicating something deeper with that.
We can never
and
support
I think
him.
He is signaling that
the Uniparty
in 2028, and I think he is. You guys surely would agree that Newsom, as it stands now, has a really decent chance of winning the nomination, right? So I think it's really bad for someone with a audience size that large to be telling people information like that is just simply not true.
I don't understand that much because on the one hand, I'll ask him that. By the way, if he answers yes to that,
it doesn't matter. The thing is, it doesn't matter what he says. It really doesn't. The question isn't, are you going to support the candidate in 2028? The question is, do you think that your audience will support the candidate in 2028 that you said was pro-genocide, or that you said single-handedly robbed the country of, or robbed California or whatever, of single-payer healthcare? Would you support that candidate? The answer is no. It doesn't matter if he supports him at that point. That's lip service, literally, definitionally.
Well, half the audience, as they did with the Vanguard, when I asked them the very same thing, they will say, I don't believe him. Do you believe him? Do you believe him? And like, so they can't win in that respect. Because they'll just say, well, come on, he just says that as a self-serving statement, and you have to look at the balance of the coverage, he's doing material harm, whatever you want to say about that. But I will ask him the question the next time I talk to him. But number two, with respect to the other statements that Kyle has made, where he has said, I would like walk
True. Not lip service. Lip service. True.
through nails to vote for Joe Manchin at this point. You don't think that that would apply to Gavin Newsom, or you think that he was being insincere in that moment when he does regularly say stuff like that? And I understand, I saw in the video that you showed me that he referred to Republican light in the context, I think, of a Cory Booker statement on Israel or something. And so I don't know if it was the same, is as broad as you're trying to make it, but regardless, he makes the statements that I would like do anything to vote for Joe Manchin, like given how different they are in this context. And so why don't you credit
Well, I think we judge people by their actions, and I know how he's been for his whole career in terms of his political strategy. Just the fact that he's saying that it's going to be different now, that's not enough for me. Like, honestly, we have a good test coming up in the midterms, you know? Like, will we see him suggest to his audience members that they support
more than just like socialist candidates? Yeah.
You know?
Yep, correct.
If we see that, then great, I'll welcome that. And if he does do that, then, you know, he will have like built goodwill for me, and I'll be inclined to believe that he'll do the same in the future. But that's not going to change the fact that I think that people like Kyle and people like Emma. Emma, I think, is like the worst example of like
Emma endorsed Kamala.
Oh my God, dude.
Emma,
it's so one-dimensional.
It's just like when we talk about the flowchart meme, it's like it's like a literal meme with her. Like, I don't know if you watched. I watched like a decent amount of Majority Report stuff, and it's like comical. We'll do like bets with the chat, like how long until she makes this thing that Trump did about the Democratic Party, and it's just a matter of time. It happens like basically every fucking time. And so for me, it's like that's the basement of whether or not I would consider someone to be like on the same side. Is, you know, are you willing to endorse a policy or electoral strategy of straight to
which Emma meets more than Joe Manchin.
Oh my God.
So listen,
my party's crazy. My party's insane. Everyone in my party's insane. I think they're totally out to sea and everything. Like, Manchin would constantly shit on Democrats every single second.
We're not talking about.
I'm trying to compare the standard.
Is that even true though? Did Manchin constantly shit on Democrats? But I feel like Manchin, there were definitely times where he had to signal differences from them. But like, he's also, this is a Republican who's fucking fighting for his life in a fucking, I don't even know if I would call it, would you consider West Virginia a purple state or just a red state? Like, it's a different thing, you know? Like, it's a totally different thing.
Okay, I know that there's a different standard. You're saying you're applying a higher standard for pundits.
Manchin was also instrumental in getting all of Joe Biden's.
I understand that. I'm not.
Clear, you know,
I understand that. I'm not disagreeing with that. All I'm just trying to say is, on purely the metric of coalition or not coalition, you know, I consider Emma Vigeland way closer than Joe Manchin's conduct, and that's including. I understand that Joe Manchin was essential for Biden's policies in a way that Emma Vigeland was not. But on the specific question of political alignment and the standards that you put forth, I don't even think it's close.
It's like the Soviet Union and the United States in World War II. I view it that way, you know, where it's like after the election, we're in a kind of a Cold War situation with people like Emma Vigeland. But I'll take the help. I'll take the help during elections.
Reddest state in the country, bro. There you go.
But I think it's extremely disruptive. Here, I want to let you speak, Josiah, but I just want to give you like an assessment of like, here's where I view people like Emma, Kyle, Hassan, and Vanguard. I think all of them have a philosophy that can be summarized as, you know, they represent a silent majority of people in this country that are actually super far lefty, but they just don't know it yet.
Yep.
And they think that the Democratic Party
needs to listen to them.
Of the Democratic Party is to prevent them from taking power.
Yeah.
And so their main priority is changing like the Democratic Party fundamentally, which there's nothing wrong with that goal in itself. Like, everybody kind of has that goal when you're doing political engagement. Okay,
no.
that's fine. But
change the party fundamentally, not everybody necessarily has that goal. That's not necessarily true. But
they serve up this narrative, this constant narrative, that they're the victims of like the Democratic establishment boot. And if only the Democratic establishment would just get out of the way, then all of us would have healthcare and, you know, we would all like,
the corporate overlords wouldn't bully us. And
that, I think, like, I totally disagree with them.
Yeah, but that's a substantive like disagreement though, right? Like, what about that?
I think they're wrong. I mean, I just think they're wrong about like their assessment of where the voters are at. I think they're wrong about the, you know, the merits of like their political movement. I think like it's kind of destructive the way that they do it. It's like better than MAGA in terms of like the destruction done, but I think that they are selling a kind of vision of America that I don't think is
Can we walk
accurate.
through it, Hutch? Because like, I'm actually not sure there's that much disagreement on policy between you and Majority Report. So number one, you're in favor of some version of
I'm gonna hit the road here real quick. So I just want to say, just two quick questions just like popped into mind. I can't even remember the first one. Oh, first one was, again, I take your point about Joe Manchin as long as he's serving, you know, in a lawmaking capacity where he coalitions with the Democrats. Now that he's out of office, obviously he has no congressional utility. So to the extent that Joe Manchin doesn't endorse Democrats and shit talks Democrats, you agree that Joe Manchin in 2026 is not part of the coalition, but that he was in 2024 as a sitting member of Congress. Now Joe Manchin, because you mentioned he was instrumental when he was a member of Congress.
No.
Now,
Hutch granted that he wasn't part of the coalition, but he could distinguish how he treats them based on their instrumentality of his effectiveness.
No, but he said something earlier about, he goes, you know, Joe Manchin was instrumental, and he was in a lot of Biden legislation, but that doesn't give him a pass. Right, but that doesn't give him a pass for forever, is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Right, but he wasn't a part of the coalition then. Like, on the grounds of coalitionness, he was not in the coalition. He may have been more useful for other reasons, and maybe we would have treated him differently, but on the grounds of, is he part of my side or is he opposition, he was more opposition than Hassan Piker was. That's what Hutch said.
They're such different people that they're playing such different roles. It's so Weasley to say this. I just hate I think this is also intentionally Weasley. I don't know if Manchin wanted to go onto Hutch's stream or onto Live and Learn, if Manchin wanted to do a show with Josiah and Hutch, and that whole show was going to be attacking the fuck out of Democrats, I don't know if they would agree to the show, or if they would, it would be an obviously contentious show. Like, Manchin would be there for a debate. If Manchin was like, I think the entire Democratic Party needs to be more like MAGA policy-wise, my guess is going to be that entire show would be Josiah and Hutch being incredibly contentious, right? That's the difference. Like, it's not going to be like they're there to buddy-buddy when you talk about who's part of the coalition. But Manchin's not there to do podcasts. Manchin's an elected fucking person, you know? It's hard to say sometimes, but I think I would prefer... Like, I think if you swapped Hassan and Manchin, I think almost all the same arguments would apply to the different people. Like, if Hassan was an elected senator in West Virginia, my guess is Hassan is probably going to align more with the Democratic Party than any Republican would. I would probably wholeheartedly support Hassan as an elected person, as a senator in West Virginia. I would support that person 100%. And then if Manchin was making the rounds doing podcasts everywhere, telling Democrats that they all needed to act like more Republicans, I probably would say, fuck that guy. He's not even part of our fucking coalition. Fuck this dude. But they're fundamentally in different roles because one is a pundit and one is an elected lawmaker. U.S. lawmaker.
No. Here, I think we can address this in a different way. If Emma Vigeland announced a run for a district and she was competitive in
Oh my God! We're mind melded. We're mind melded. We're fucking mind melded. We're mind melded.
A red district, I would endorse her and tell my people to vote for her.
Yes.
And the same kind of thing applies to Manchin.
Even though she's in opposition.
Yeah, I
actually don't think that she would qualify for opposition. Right. So then this opposition thing is like she literally has a seat at the table.
Like,
the opposition literally has a seat at the
based
table.
on the role. But then why does Pisco pretend not to understand this? People's like, oh, so there's a difference now between an elected politician and a pundit? There's a difference? Yeah, what the fuck do you mean? Of course there's a difference. Please stop shooting at me, sir. You motherfucker.
Well, the congressional majorities, I think, are like a separate kind of like higher order issue, though.
It seems whenever we're trying to get clarity on the rule, the rule changes and becomes like...
that's why
No, it doesn't change. Oh my God, it's so bad. Well, I'm just trying to figure out what your position is. There's obviously a different standard between what we would want, what we would expect from an elected leader versus what we would expect from I can't do this without any... at level 4, right? I think there's no way I make this scroll. Obviously, there are different standards. How are you acting like... This is such an unbelievable position. Are you saying you would treat elected leaders differently than... Like, oh my God.
Well, that's wait a minute. That's why I was asking, because I took his point to say whether or not Manchin was part of the coalition when he was a senator is irrelevant because he had instrumentality as a voting member of the Democratic coalition. Joe Manchin's not in office now, so now you would agree that he's less useful and is even less part of the coalition than Emma Vigeland, because now he's not voting for anything and he's shit-talking Democrats.
Yes.
Yeah, in the context of 2024, Emma was a stronger Kamala soldier than Joe Manchin.
Yes.
Perfect. And then the second question is about Kyle, and the false equivalences and stuff like that. And yeah, to the extent that he's calling Cory Booker MAGA light. Now, maybe there's a discrete issue where Cory is not far away from a particular MAGA position. I need to know the context. But what do you make of...
Oh my God.
Like, I remember...
Which we just say, Schumer went out and said, part of my job as leader is to make sure Israel is funded. And so you think it's like a bad criticism of like some Democrats that they're basically shades of Republican when it comes to Israel policy?
Oh my God. What an unbelievably fucking retarded thing to say. Are you serious? So you're going to make comparisons of them to the opposition party that you're trying to rally against? Is that a fair criticism to make of them, that they're shades of the opposite party? When the whole criticism is these people treat the two-party system like the duopoly and they're the same party? Like, would it be fair of me to say that for Pisco, like, well, Pisco says he's a capitalist and that he believes in capitalism more than socialism. It's fair to say that's kind of a Nazi-like position, right? Because technically the Nazis weren't full-on socialists, right? They did believe in some form of privatization of like corporations and stuff. So like, is it fair? It's fair to say that like a criticism of Pisco's position, he's Nazi-like here, right? What a crazy fucking statement to make.
Is that like even wrong?
Oh my God.
It's not inaccurate to say that there are a lot of Democrats and Republicans that agree that the United States should provide for Israel's
security. It doesn't even feel like that's an inaccurate statement if it was made.
Oh my God. Bro. Okay, I'll do this until 3 hours and we'll watch the Jubilee thing or the HCR thing. This is all of it. No more. We're on a Pisco moratorium until March 1st, okay? Because every conversation with him is a waste of fucking time. This is like so stupid. I'd rather listen to anything else. This is such a waste of time.
Cory Booker, that he's Republican light on Israel. It feels like it's true.
I was talking in a more broad sense. I can't give you particulars, but in a more broad sense, I think he does regularly kind of conflate the entire Democratic Party with Republicans.
Or with Israel-Palestine.
So my last question is, and again, getting back to Kyle about the false equivalence thing, what do you make of when Democrats do well, like electorally? Kyle cheerleads that. Kyle like takes fucking victory laps and he hypes the Democrats up. Like, do you remember, because it went viral after the November 2025 election where there was a blue wave? He lit up that cigar, had his shades on, and was like hyping up the Dems and shit talking the Republicans and stuff like that. Like,
but if I were to go to his Twitter account and search for, Mikey Sherrill or Abigail Spanberger, I don't know what I'll find, but I would not be shocked if he was calling them I don't know, pro-Israel, like pro-Zionist, or I don't know, whatever.
What if that's true?
Like,
What if that's true though? What maybe factually that's true? What if his criticism of somebody was just that he's a woman or she's a woman? That's a woman. That's a woman. Like, well, isn't that true?
That's true though.
Well, no, I mean, like that's one particular issue, but I'm saying like it wouldn't shock me if I found a lot of tweets of him like cutting them down the size.
Well, again, I don't know. Like, I don't have time to unpack this here because again, my line isn't does he criticize Democrats? I don't give a fuck. I'm fine if he criticizes Democrats as long as he criticizes them.
No, I'm okay with criticizing, but there's criticizing and then there's saying that Gavin Newsom vetoed single payer. There's a big universal difference between those
if
things.
he said that, if he said that which is factually untrue, I totally agree. It's a separate. If you said cutting Abigail Spanberger down to size, and to me, I don't give a fuck. I don't need him to.
You cut down Plattner. You cut down Plattner, and if Plattner won, I bet you would be cheering against Susan Collins, and you wouldn't really. If someone came, oh come on, Hutch, you cut down Plattner to size, like you would be like, oh, who cares? I can do that.
But he'll cut them down in the general. That's my point. There's a huge difference between attacking Democrats that are in the primaries still and the Democrats that are in the general. And that's not even to say that you can't or shouldn't criticize Democrats that are in the general. But when the criticisms are based on things that are just like simply not true,
or they're just lies,
constant kind of push of a larger narrative of there being this big bad evil establishment that is seeking to squash any and all like progressive movement in this country, which I find fucking ridiculous. Then I think that it's a larger.
It's not about the fact of
problem.
so it's not about the fact of criticism. It's about whether the criticism is factual.
Factual and not in service of some larger narrative that I think hurts the
That's
not only the
that's going to be turtles all the way down. If it's about some larger
Oh my god. How much? Okay, 12 minutes.
Narrative that you think hurts the Democratic Party, they just take a different view. They think
that
it helps
what this
them.
is all about.
No, but they feel
I think they're wrong though. I think they're wrong.
Let me just close the loop on this and I'll peace out. I was not surprised when Kyle did that because I guess not that I watch all of Kyle's videos, I just don't have the time for it. But I'm familiar enough with his content and Crystal's content and conversations I've had with them privately and when they've been on my channel. They celebrate. They actively celebrate. They just don't note it clinically and move on. I think they're more celebratory, for example, than the majority report than either Sam or Emma. When the Democrats kick Republican asses, they are hyped about, especially Kyle. Kyle, much more so even Crystal, he treats it like a team sport, lighting that cigar, shit talking the Republicans, hyping up the Democrats. As long as he does that, like that guy's part of my coalition. So that's what I say. So listen, bro, appreciate it. This was supposed to only be 30 minutes. This is why I don't stream with you guys anymore.
You fucking love it, bro.
I do. No, I do. I do. Like I said, I kept texting, like, give me another 30 minutes. Give me another 30 minutes. Give me 45 minutes and stuff like that. It's fun. It's fun. Even when we're circling the drain, it really is. I just don't know how you guys sit on your ass and do this for 8 to 10 hours a day. I don't know how you do it. Like my back is sore, my head is sore. Like it's a discipline. It really is. Like when Hassan was it Hassan who said talked about how hard streaming was or whatever, and he got a lot of shit for it. Was that Hassan?
Yeah, it was.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I don't even think what he said on paper was like that bad, but it's the way that he framed it that I think.
No, I agree.
His point about your social battery being drained is like not even controversial. I think that is for sure a thing.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know. Like the way my channel works, like when I do like recording stuff, like it's very rarely even like 3 in a row. Like it's usually one, and then I'm doing research on another one, so there are like breaks and shit in between. I genuinely I could not do it. You guys are super.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Yeah, love the game. Listen,
it was really good talking to you. Yeah, I'm glad you came by. This is great. I think we should do it more often.
Yeah. We should start a podcast
that's
with
problem.
only liberals and then we can have guests and stuff every week.
But we should get Convoy back too and start like a live and learn knockoff, a live and learn cover band. So
we did live learn love or whatever that one was. Live laugh love.
Remember we did that. Live laugh love because we need laughter. All right, no, listen guys, it's fun. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you.
I was going down a place. I'll give you. I've been talking a lot, so I'll let you.
No, go ahead. I think
that you're closer to Emma than I think. I think that your issues with them are with respect to their emphasis, with respect to their the slant of the reporting, with some of their like views from like
emphasis, slant of reporting, and views are all important these are all important factors in determining what the overall message is. That's such a mindless thing to say. I don't even want to. I don't even want to talk about it. It's just such an obviously stupid thing to say. Like, well, you agree with them. You just don't like the slant of their coverage, the types of things that they focus on, and how much they emphasize certain parts of the reporting. Like, motherfucker, you realize you just described like 95% of reporting, right? What do you think reporting in country is? Like, we're all looking at the same fucking news, bro. It's not like anybody's out there doing on-the-ground reporting. We're all looking at the same fucking stories. The difference between one pundit and another is generally going to be, well, sometimes it'll be their positions, but other times it'll be the slant they have, the things that they focus on. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Or almost like bird's eye view about how the structure of power works, and certainly within the Democratic Party. But if you were to go policy by policy, like I think you would be more aligned with majority report than you are with like a lot of centrist Democrats. I think that you would be in favor of.
I'm sure there would be policy disagreements because they really like rent control, for example. And my understanding is that basically every economist, left wing and right wing, thinks that rent control is bad. And so I think they're more closed off to market solutions. I think both of them are probably anti-capitalist. Probably Emily more than Sam. I think she is like anti-capitalist. I think she does envision a more kind of socialistic structure. But I'll give you a good example of like where I really depart from Emma, and like where there's like a wide cavern between us. I watched their coverage on election night in November.
Was it sad? I thought Emma cried. I was like very upset.
She didn't cry, but like, so when I was covering the election, I was telling
for this
my
election
going into it, I'm not going to be satisfied unless this is a really dominant victory. And then what ended up happening was that it was even more dominant than I thought it was going to be. Like,
are you talking about 2025 or 2024?
2025, just this last November. Yeah. Maybe I didn't specify the year, but so the vibes on my stream, bro, we were dancing. We were like, holy fucking shit. Like the Republicans are fucked. Like we were euphoric. The vibes were immaculate. And then I tuned over to the Majority Report's coverage, and that was like straight up depressing.
Oh, when all the special random elections, everything else, this had to do with, I don't even remember the states. I was even in one of them or whatever. But they were fucking ass pained because there were, it was a huge, variety of different types of candidates. Most of them, I think, were more moderate. I remember this because who was it? Was it Noah Smith? There were other people that were kind of rubbing their noses in it because all of the fucking Ryan Grimms and Emma fucking retards Linda, all these people are like, oh, well, the Democrats are going to get fucking wrecked. They're going to get fucking wrecked because they didn't run the socialist response. They're going to get fucking destroyed. And Democrats swept. Democrats obliterated Republicans across it was like 15 different elections or something. Like half of them were pretty important, I think. And then across like 4 or 5 different states, it was a fucking blowout. Like in huge margins compared to what the slant was for Trump in 2024. And yeah, the lefty people were not super thrilled about that. This is true. I remember this.
Happening was there were
I remember the response even more than the elections themselves. Yeah.
Reports coming in that Mikey Sherrill and Spanberger's margins were exceeding expectations, and she was legitimately pissed off that people were talking about that.
Yep.
And she was
really. I haven't heard of that. I haven't heard about that thing.
Undercutting the idea that their victories were notable. Like they were watching the news, and the news was reporting on what was happening. And so there was this narrative kind of emerging that Mamdani was maybe underperforming a little bit relative to expectations. Obviously what he did was crazy impressive, and I've really liked what I've seen from him so far as governor or mayor. But the other part was that Spanberger and Sherrill were looking like they were, especially I think Sherrill in New Jersey. I think she especially really overperformed because I think that race was projected to be a little bit closer.
That was very impressive, yeah.
And so when they were watching the news coverage of it live on their stream, and she was saying stuff like, the newscaster would say that it sure looks like they're overperforming, and then she would say stuff like, no, they're not. Like she was so invested in that moment.
Oh yeah.
In minimizing.
I like that how you're saying this too, because this is one of the things I'm talking about when it comes to, I don't want to use the term vibe check, but like if you go look at the election night on 2025, okay, or in 2024 for Trump taking over in 2025, when you look at the reaction to liberals, say real liberals, it's like, oof, this is rough. For a lot of reasons. This is going to suck shit, and it's not good. And if somebody's coming out of that with like, oh, look at that. Oh, look what's going to happen now. Look at that. Like, right? It's like, okay, so like it's a meme or it's a game. You don't actually think it's going to be that bad, or the badness doesn't affect you. You don't give a fuck. And it's just like, you're trying. It's like, okay, whatever. Like it's obvious by the way that people respond, like how invested they were in a certain outcome, or if they actually gave a fuck if Trump won or not.
The wins of the so-called moderates. And trying to inflate the win of the progressive. So that to me is like the big difference between me and her, is because I think she's invested in the Democratic Party in a way that is like exclusively focused on reshaping the party into a more progressive like structure.
Yep.
I think that is like her
Socialist
number one priority.
Or here's my commitment to you. I will watch that election coverage and I'll examine it and I'll do a vibe analysis. And I will be honest about it. I will see if the vibe.
Be honest about it. Like, well, here at the very end, after Emma cried for 3 hours, literally, they had to call their therapist. She almost got committed because she seemed suicidal. She said, it's good the Democrats won. So I actually don't get it all. The vibe check was perfect to me. That she said, I'm glad the Democrats won. She said that. So I don't know what you're saying.
Are off. Because I think that there's a point to be made there. If you're kind of poo-pooing Democratic victories, places you don't want, it could be a little bit of a vibe terrorist action. I don't know, even if that's true, what do I make of that? Like, what do I make of that?
The narrative. The establishment, the big bad establishment, they serve.
Clip from that stream.
Every advantage they get, and they need to make it work for them.
And they're going to overstate Sherrill, and they're going to overstate Spanberger for the reasons we spoke about, but also because these states are some of the wealthiest in the whole country, and it's representative of a professional class of Democrat.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, Mamdani should be the model for every single person in the country. Mamdani, the New York City mayor, by the way, should be the model for every single U.S. politician in the entire country, by the way.
that in other areas of the country is falling apart.
Oh my God. Why did you link me this?
Could not compete in a state like Maine. A Cheryl could not compete.
I'm sorry, am I retarded? Is Maine a state that we're worried about? Is that a state that's like on the chopping block? Is that
in a state like Maine? Or when we're talking about Dan Osborne, even take away the Democratic label next to it. Could not compete in a state like Nebraska. That's just not the case. So the elites in the media,
for senator, yes.
which I sound like a Republican, but that's really what is happening right now, are going to overstate this case. And you hear Dana Bash just like CIA, national security background, blah, blah, blah. Like, no one cares. Except if you're in New Jersey and you're in like suburban areas of New York, like Cheryl is, like literally where I grew up. It's 35 minutes outside of New York City. There are a lot of wealthy people there. There are a lot of people like Mikey Cheryl. And then same thing in Virginia. This is a lot of people that are wealthier and from, work in DC and work in politics. Their victories are infinitely less representative of the entire population than Zoran Mamdani's.
Oh my God! Oh, then fucking New York City? Then fucking New York. This is the most fucking lib cocks. This is the most ultra cosmopolitan lib statement in the fucking universe. No more links. How do I ban links from one person? If you send me another link on Discord, I'm blocking you, ASOS.
Is in terms of what it could mean for democratic politics. Maybe infinitely is overstating it, but you get what I'm trying to say.
They're so upset. Oh my God, they were so ass.
Excuse me for 1 second. I need to pause.
Keep in mind, in the rest of the country, every Democrat was ecstatic because this was like an overwhelming. Wait, did the one guy who I'm trying to remember? Fuck, I feel like a year so long ago. Did the one guy who was like sending text messages saying like, "Listen, maybe this fucking Republican dude's kids need to die for him to give a fuck about shit"? He was one of the guys that won in one of these elections. Am I correct on that? I don't remember which position even or whatever the fuck this was for. Jay Jones? Yeah. Democrats were ecstatic. Okay, they fucking cooked. It was like a 15 out of 15 flawless fucking massive overperformance in every single one. State, not statewide, countrywide in a lot of these special elections. It was crazy. Meanwhile, that was for the Virginia Attorney General. Meanwhile, these guys are like, ugh.
All of my son's internet usage remotely. I don't know if he's asleep. He should be asleep, but he's not.
Oh my God, bro.
For these losses in Virginia, in New Jersey, or in New York City tonight. Of course, when President Obama was president, Donald.
Wait, I'm curious now. Oh God, I shouldn't even ask. Did they do live election coverage for the presidential election? I don't want to watch it. Don't link me. Just say yes or no. Don't link it. If you link it, I'm permabanning you.
Trump said,
I'm very jealous of her eyebrows.
Don't link it, ASOS.
I've never had any eyebrows.
He's the president, and it's up to him to negotiate an end to
That wasn't out of nowhere. I said something.
She's got like the Brooke Shields thing. I got to pencil mine in, or they don't even show up. Yes.
Who did his makeup tonight?
You feel good.
He's crushing it. It's his moment. Wait.
We need to hear this.
2026. What is your reaction? Well, I'll just give you the gimme. Tell us what you think about these results that are coming in.
Well, I congratulate all the candidates. These are candidates like Mikey Cheryl and Abigail Spanberger, who, of course, I've served with in the United States Congress. They're incredible public servants. They've run great campaigns focused on driving down.
Oh, now he's showing a picture of
and turning things around in the United States of America.
There's this image of Mamdani's party, and he doesn't say a word about Mamdani.
The American people understand that, and they
Tapper's going to ask in soon.
In Virginia, in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, in
Wait, it wasn't about Mamdani though. It wasn't about there was always going to be a Democratic mayor in New York City. Why the fuck would that be the talking point right now? The celebration is like a seemingly universal rejection across the country of like MAGA. What the Mamdani for winning or whatever is, I'm not sitting here and saying it was bad or anything. Listen, he's still up to me. I kind of like Mamdani, and it's not like when Hassan and these people are like, oh, I'd vote for Kamala. I think I've said almost universally positive things about Mamdani, and I'm excited for him to try his shit in New York City because I've always said, listen, if it works, then I'll change my position on it. And if it doesn't work, I got more shit I can point to and say, this is a dumb idea. Don't do this.
Georgia, and in state and local
the other states that I don't live
down
in.
ballot all across America.
Are you worried about Sharia law in New York City?
From our point of view, we're going to
How about the candidate that won your district in the primary by 12 points?
We want to drive down the high cost of living. We want to fix our broken healthcare system. We want America to be the best version of herself, not continue.
They can't just do this affordability thing. It sounds like what the Republicans said last term.
Country of the people by the people.
It's about how you're going to do.
What President Trump had to say there, saying that the reason that Democrats had such a good night is because A, he wasn't on the ballot, and B, the government shutdown.
Okay.
Well, Donald Trump and Republicans shut the government down and refused to reopen it. Donald Trump has spent the last 35 days more time on the golf course, more time talking to Hamas, and more time talking to the Chinese Communist Party than to Democrats on Capitol Hill who represent half the country. And they continue
they're not going to like that one.
to address the healthcare
More
crisis
time talking
that
to
they've
Hamas.
created. And the American people clearly have a problem with that.
What the fuck?
Like, extend the Affordable Care Act.
So that was worse than I could even fucking imagine.
It's honestly like
and this is the same
they're just paying him to be in an alternate reality. It's like a who's that guy? He did a Batman like he did Memento.
Well, but like, I mean, Trump did do that. Whether you think it was a good or bad idea, his statements are true, right? Maybe not Trump directly, but I think it was kind of a big deal. I don't know if it was the first. I think it was the first time the U.S. did it, right? And we did it behind Israel's back too. I say behind Israel's back, but like Trump was too retarded probably to even understand the big deal. I think we sent an envoy to go and consult with Hamas directly when Israel definitely didn't want us to do it. But it's not even like Trump did it as like a brave thing. Trump's just fucking retarded. I think that was Witkoff again, or it might have been. I think it was Witkoff.
And
Memento?
No, wait. Who was the guy who did like the Christopher Nolan? It's like a Christopher Nolan movie. Well, yeah, but like they put him in. Did you do Memento? They put him in like he's in an alternate plane, talking to
donors.
People in some type of alternate universe.
Donors.
Like, yes, it's just insane.
Donors, though, right? Like we talked about this. How does he get away with these platitudes? And it's because he uses. I'm sorry, but like he is a black man that goes into very white, wealthy spaces.
Yes, break it out. They're uninformed. We're so fucking close, bro. The most based and the scariest evolution from the left is when they finally just fucking embrace their fucking racism. Because trust me, bro, nobody hates socialists in the United States more than fucking brown people from South America, okay? And black people are probably never gonna go for the weird, cringy fucking socialist bullshit. So just fucking let them have it, dude. What are these low IQ, uninformed voters? What do they even know about any of this shit, okay? Fucking go for it, bro.
And says what they want to hear, and they get to clear their conscience and feel anti-racist by donating $1 million to the Democratic Party. He has no rhetorical skills outside of like actually
being black,
trying to raise money. It's clear.
Okay. He has no rhetorical skills outside of trying to raise money. One of the most important things you can do for your party, by the way, is fucking raising money for them, but we'll pretend like that doesn't fucking matter at all, I guess. Okay, epic and based.
Well, in New York City, of course, I congratulate Zoran, and he ran relentlessly focused.
Oh no! And then he did positively mention Zoran after they said that he wasn't going to do it, and now they have to find a reason why that's actually bad.
On addressing the affordability crisis that the people in New York City are experiencing. He did that in the primary, and he stayed on message throughout the general election. And now it's incumbent upon everyone in New York City, those that supported the next mayor-elect and those that didn't, to make sure that he's as successful as he can possibly be on all the things, including, perhaps most importantly, affordability and on the issue of public safety.
And you know the Republicans.
And he even hits like all the talking points that they wanted to hit, and it's still not enough. They don't care. This is what I say. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. It's never enough. They're not your friends. They are not your allies. It is never, ever, ever enough for these people. It won't be because they're not Democrats. They are not Democrats. They're socialists. But they know that they have, to borrow from our good friend Hassan, they have no motion. Nobody gives a fuck about their retarded fucking shit. And they don't even care that they have no motion. These are all like memes and games and ways of like earning money and clout for these people. Or no, really just clout because they all come from rich as fuck families anyway. So they don't give a fuck if they win elections or not. It's so cringe. Ugh.
I'm sorry, are already safety. Basically like, remember the Giuliani noun verb 9/11.
Public safety? Why would they give a fuck about public safety? It's not like people getting fucking stabbed or set on fire in the fucking New York City subway where stories that dominate headlines. It's not like New York City people give a fuck about public safety. Are you crazy? It's not like anybody's ever complained about violent people on the subway or anything. What, public safety? Why the fuck are you talking about that? We talking about Israel Palestine. Why are they even saying about Israel Palestine?
Now it's noun verb. Mamdani is a communist, and that's where the Democrats are right now.
So these people got crushed all across the country, and this is the best that they can come up with. The American people...
Dude, it's what you were saying 3 weeks ago.
You promised to lower the high cost of living. Affordability was on the ballot today, and Democrats...
Can you say how you're going to do something about affordability? Like all of this even this argument where they're absorbing Mamdani's success is defensive. There's nothing proactive.
God.
What are you going to do to address affordability?
Out of control, and now Republicans...
We know prices are out of control. They're just mirroring what the Republicans did last cycle.
Tens of millions of people are about to experience dramatically increased premium copays and deductibles. Republicans can bury their heads in the sand. They tried this effort in New Jersey already, across the Hudson River.
Shock my balls.
Mikey Sherrill blew out all expectations. Literally.
Cheryl did not blow out all expectations. That's not accurate.
We're going to stay the course.
The idea that Cheryl should not have had a resounding victory with a president who has a minus 18 approval rating
out in California.
In the first year.
So where are your fucking candidates? If the victories are so fucking easy, why don't you fucking have any of them? Where are your fucking candidates? Where are they at? We're looking for them, but we don't find them. We don't see them anywhere. Where the fuck are these progressives and socialists winning in America? They're not there.
in office is literally unheard of. Has there ever been a president in terms of the first year of his first term that has had this low approval rating in the modern history?
Then go to fucking red or purple states and win seats. Then go win seats, motherfucker. Go support people to win seats. Stop fighting in the bluest fucking districts of all the fucking mankind and go win seats somewhere else.
The American.
Why did you link me this? Okay.
Democratic experiment.
A good question for Akeem would be, how well would Democrats be doing if you and Chuck weren't weighing them down?
Yeah, weighing them down. Why don't you step aside and make room for us, the real winners?
To win congressional seats. So we are going to win control of the House of Representatives. I said that from the beginning. And if you actually want to assess the landscape.
Electoralism. What, you want to win elections?
Despite all the premature obituaries that were written about Democrats a year ago from today, and there were lessons to be learned, but what we're seeing is that the Latino community moving decisively in our direction.
What Matt just said off mic is important because this could lock him into place if they do well, but that's why there needs to be a primary challenge. That's all I'm saying. He's not going to get dislodged without a primary challenge.
And that's what we have to talk about today? These motherfuckers. You want us to win elections? Let's go. Let's go find some more Democrats that we can primary. I need to find another Democrat. I need to find a Democrat that I can go primary. You want us to win elections? Let's go find some Dems that we can get rid of.
Is that we're going to lean in to the issues that matter. And as House Democrats, we've been very clear. Lower the high cost of living, fix our broken healthcare system, clean up corruption. And that the American people deserve better than what they're getting from the extremism that has been unleashed on the American people. And in this country, you work hard, you play by the rules, you should be able to live the good life. So for far too many
Americans, that's Clinton. Like, if you play by the rules, what the F does that mean?
It's so outdated.
What do you mean? What does it mean? It means that the legal and the institutional framework that exists in the United States should be such that if you try hard, you can achieve success. It's literally the basic premise of the American dream. What the fuck do you mean? What does that mean?
Does that mean that 80% of the country they're somehow like criminal? They're breaking the rules?
How can you be so mind raped to have that take? Like, if you try hard, you should be able to be successful in the United States. Oh, so you're saying 100% of black men just weren't trying hard in 1785? You don't think the slaves tried hard? Like, what the fuck, bro?
Remember when Trump said one of the reasons that he won in 2016? There were two lines from the debate that I remember so clearly. One was where she said, Hillary Clinton said, we're so lucky that we don't have the temperament of someone like Donald Trump in office, and he said, well, that's because you'd be in jail. And the crowd went, ooh. And then the other one was she was going after him for cheating on his taxes, and he goes, well, that's because I'm smart. And that is what Hakeem Jeffries is saying in this interview would have been out of touch in 2016.
This whole if you play by the rules, like the rules, that is not. First of all, I think the American public is very close, if not already there, at the point where they realize, hey, wait a second, I have been playing by the rules.
Yep,
I've been playing.
That's the whole point that he's making. How can you be so fucking mind raped? What do you think he's trying to say?
By the rules for the past 2 or 3 decades.
My parents played by the rules.
My parents played by the rules. As a generation, we are going backwards relative to my parents. We are going backwards in terms of.
Is that true? He's a solid Gen Xer, right? Is Gen X going backwards? I thought it was supposed to be millennials were the ones left behind worse. And then I thought it changed to Gen Z or whatever. I'd have to go and look it up. I don't know for what metric you'd be measuring there, maybe. But
buying power, we're going back.
He's 60. Isn't 60 still Gen X? Isn't that upper Gen X? Gen X age range. Yeah, 46 to 61, upper end of Gen X, I think. He's like the very, very upper end.
In terms of share of productivity that we are enjoying as workers versus the owners. We're going backwards in terms of wealth inequality. We're going backwards in terms of being able to afford healthcare. Everybody's playing by the rules.
Like, what do you think you're saying that he's not agreeing with you on here? Or that people aren't understanding him as saying?
Or let's say,
except the rich.
Let's say 92%. Yes, we also happen to know that the IRS is completely gutted. They just shut down the free filing system, incidentally. But aside from that, people have been playing by the rules. We are watching on a daily basis people who've been playing by the rules get kidnapped on the street.
What do you think Akeem's position is here?
We are watching on a daily basis the people who have been playing by the rules go into bankruptcy because they have the temerity of getting cancer. We are watching people who are playing by the rules.
Like, what is this fucking soy rant for? He's so fucking mad. Like, if you were to listen to just the response, you would think that the Republicans just fucking swept, right? The Republicans must have just swept. That's what it sounds like.
unable to feed their kids, pay their rent, pay for their college loans. We're watching all of this, and it's not working. And it's not working not just because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a result of people saying, I've been playing by the rules, and the rules are rigged against me. And so I'm going to vote for the freaking Joker because playing by the rules has not worked. So I need somebody to come in and shatter the rules. And for some reason, 10 years later, 10 years later, Hakeem Jeffries still doesn't understand this. Kamala Harris didn't understand it when she went around and said, hey, we're not just the Democratic Party. We got Lynn Cheney here. Liz Cheney.
They hate that. Oh my God, they hate that Liz Cheney thing. But in case you guys didn't know, Liz Cheney, I think it was Kamala's VP pick, and she was with her for, it was 107 days of campaigning. I think she was with her for 96 different campaign appearances. And I think the thing that fucked her the most was they were having like a booth where Liz Cheney would fuck your husband in front of you as well, and you had to sit there and cry while she was doing it. And the whole time, it was like every single time she would move up and down on your husband's dick, it would be another $20 to Halliburton or something in terms of what you had to donate from your next paycheck. So the Liz Cheney move was definitely a bad move by Kamala, but
whatever.
Who cares?
Whichever Cheney. We're the entire political establishment. We're the Democrats and the Republicans.
Yeah.
He's the outsider. He's the Joker. And the American public said, we'll take that option. Because the option that you have offered us, because we've played by the rules and lost, we're done with that. Like, how do they not understand this yet? It's insane.
Because who is he speaking to about the rules?
the donors, white
Who
donors.
doesn't want the rules changed?
Donors.
Just to bring it back to my
billionaires, donors.
Too fridge having people.
Why do 7 out of 10 Americans per Washington Post ABC Ipsos think the Democratic Party is out of touch versus 6 in 10 who think the Republican Party and Trump is out of touch? Insanity. The guy's building a Gilded Age-style ballroom as they're cutting SNAP benefits for over 40 million Americans after presiding over the largest cut to the program since its inception in the Great Depression. That's the less out of touch party. But when Hakeem Jeffries gives an answer like that, that doesn't even
Election night stream.
Baloo. Ladies and gentlemen, Heather Digby Park.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Digby. Heather, can you hear me?
I can sure hear you. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay.
Now, there's the abbreviated song. So we're here with about 350 or so of some of my closest friends. And I don't know, Emma, you can characterize where we are in the evening. We're in the part of the evening where the anxiety, at least for me, is seeping in. And the idea that just days ago they were running an entire national campaign on the premise that OnlyFans owners of squirrels should be able to keep their squirrels. That's not a euphemism, that's a literal story. That seems to have fallen by the wayside, at least in my mind, and now I'm a little anxious.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I am anxious too, and this is a very familiar feeling, isn't it? I mean, here we are again in one of these tight presidential races, and we're sitting here. It's that time of the evening where we're sitting there watching Steve Kornacki and watching, John King or whatever, and now I've got whole lists on Twitter and threads of people who, experts in this stuff, and I'm doom scrolling it, and I'm looking at, gee, what's the margin in Fayetteville, and all that kind of stuff, and it's nuts, because where we are is where we thought we were going to be. Now, I will admit that I had been sort of fooled into thinking that maybe I never thought it would be a landslide, of course, but I thought it might be more decisive than it was in 2020 or 2016. I thought this time maybe people will have gotten sick enough of Orange Julius Caesar that they will, actually vote in larger numbers against him. And it looks like we're at another nail biter. And it's probably going to come down to what everybody has said it was going to come down to the whole time, which was the blue wall, and maybe, pick up one or two, maybe of the other battleground states, but maybe not. I mean, but one of the things to remember as we're watching this whole thing unfold tonight, Biden won Georgia last time by 12,000 votes. I mean, famously, what was it, 11,980 or something? Just find me 11,000 votes. Trump only won North Carolina by 26,000 votes. Wisconsin, Biden won by 20,000 votes. So that is what this is like now. This is where we are, and this is what we deal with, and we're not going to know right away. And then there's going to be a big stink, and Trump's going to claim, that it was stolen, and we're going to go through that whole mess. That's just the way it is in America in this era, and I'm so tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the rosy scenario, right? Where
that's assuming they go the right way, right? Yeah, I mean, they could go either way.
Well, I mean, how much thought have you given? I mean, do you have scenarios of this is what how I'm going to orient myself if Harris wins? This is how I'm going to orient myself if Trump wins? Or is that just too difficult to contemplate at this point?
Well, you have to think about it. I mean, if you're in our business, you certainly do, because it's not like, I mean, if I didn't do this for a living, I might think, well, if Trump wins, I'll drop out and go raise chickens somewhere and forget everything. I mean, I would be tempted to just, leave the whole thing and not think about it. I mean, I'm at an age where maybe I can just eke out the rest of my life and not have to, and that'll be the end of that. But, I can't do that. I mean, obviously, it'd be probably impossible for me to do it anyway. So just as being someone who's observing politics, I'll tell you, orienting myself to a Harris win is fairly easy, I think. Right. I can sort of see the difficulties of dealing with a fractious Congress. Maybe if the Democrats don't pull off the House this time, which is entirely possible, that's also very close, and the Senate does not look very promising. We've been there before, and that's just something that perhaps we can deal with. If Trump wins again, I'm frankly terrified, and as I orient myself to that, I honestly don't know where I fit in there, because I'm a little bit scared of what's going to happen to people who do what I do. You know what I mean? I mean, this is not I'm not in a profession where, I've said a lot of really mean things about Donald Trump over the last 20 years, So, I mean, I honestly don't know what to think about that. And I worry, obviously, for the country and for the world and for myself. And what about you? What do you think about that? I mean, you must.
I do, and I'm thinking about it a little bit more.
We have some unfortunate news from Decision Desk that Harris has lost North Carolina.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
So there goes my theory, but we'll see. I mean, indications are that she's overperforming in Georgia swing states and the Atlanta suburbs, but definitely not feeling as good as I was in the lead up, obviously. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the.
Somebody said they privated part 2 of the stream. Why? This was apparently early in the night. Why do they private it?
I haven't spent too much time contemplating.
Below that Biden number. There's room for her to drop further here. And again, just 1-2 points in Fulton County offsets a lot of the good Democrats might have done themselves in those other counties I just showed you. So see what happens there. We also have, look at this, Douglas, Cobb County. We also have, look at this, getting close in Cobb County again. Take a look at 2020 here. Joe Biden won this by 14 points. Now, right now, it's basically a 15-point margin. This is another one where that margin for Democrats was bigger earlier. It's come down as more same day has come in. And Cobb is a massive, massive county. Again, it's much bigger than any of those others that I just showed you. 82%, more same day to come. That's concerning for Democrats if it starts dropping below that. And then Gwinnett County, this is the one that's been the slow one here in the region tonight. We're still where we were. So there's sort of a division here we're seeing between these suburban and metro counties here. Again, there's some clear Democratic growth, but they don't want slippage in those big ones as the remaining vote comes in. And again, just checking in, we showed you Cherokee. These are the big Republican sort of fringe Atlanta metro counties. Here's one Forsyth.
Cable TV now. Uncalled U.S. Senate seats at this hour. Whew.
Those graphics are insane. Why are they like that? Oh, there's numbers in the fountain in front of the White House. What?
I just feel like maybe the lag we're seeing right now is because George W. Bush didn't endorse Kamala Harris in time. Anyone else? Oh, no? You don't think another war criminal?
Does anyone else? Liz Cheney and.
It would help? I just
Jared, sorry. Right now in Ohio, 70% in.
I'm trying to be friendly.
Jared Brown is down by almost 6 points.
It's awful.
It is too early to call as opposed to too close to call.
That's good. I like that.
Too close to call is better than too early to call.
Okay.
You don't like that.
Accepted, but it sounds better too early to call. Thank you, drunk man.
Only 35% of votes in from Cleveland.
What's that, in Ohio?
Come on, Cleveland. Rocks. Come on.
I'm seeing 70%.
Oh, in Cleveland.
Oh, so 57% of Florida voters voted for the abortion thing, and so we leave it up to the states. That means
55.
Oh,
When did they reform how the ballot measures was going to work?
In the aughts.
And it didn't pass by
Okay.
60%. What I heard is that when they passed the thing saying they need to pass by 60%, that itself did not pass by 60%.
Yeah.
Good one, Florida.
Well, that's why they did it. It was too easy for things like that to pass, apparently.
And the question is, very Democratic-friendly votes are going to come in. And so that may answer or really get us close to an answer on this other key question we're asking in Pennsylvania. Are the Democrats able to hold what they have in Philadelphia and maybe even win back the lost ground from 2020, or does Trump make further inroads? Because, again, this is a county where the Democrats won by about 470,000 votes in 2020. They want to hit that margin. They want to go higher on that margin tonight. So that's the drama in Philadelphia as this other half of the vote comes in. And we could just zoom right out and see. I was going to zoom out and show you the running statewide total. And I clicked Ohio for some reason. There you go. A little bit more than half statewide. That is Trump's lead statewide, but it's very spotty in terms of where you're seeing. Oh, there's one more I did want to flag for you. This is Cumberland County, because we do have about 3/4 of the vote in here. Why Cumberland County? Because we don't talk much about it, but there's a lot of population in this region of Pennsylvania. You got Lancaster County, you got York County. Here you got Cumberland County, Carlisle, Pennsylvania is in here. This is actually, you see red right now, this has been a growth area for Democrats. There's a lot of fast-growing.
Okay. We need to watch. Okay. They don't seem too celebratory, at least. I don't know what part 2 was.
Structure the conversation the way you.
Fuck. I just closed this and reopened it, so I don't know where we were at on this. Or what timestamp. I don't think I care, though. Okay, I'm good on this.
You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
Why was he so mad here, guys?
You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in.
Exactly on fat people trying to look less fat. That's it. Roadhog's the only good one, exactly. And especially it's a fat chick. Like a fat guy can be funny. A fat chick, the only time that a fat chick makes sense is if she's the villain, like an Ursula and the Little Mermaid. Nobody wants to look at a fat person. Not even fat people do. That's why they edit their photos. If I ever see a fat person in a video game, I think to myself, especially if it's a fat chick, this game probably isn't made for men.
Why doesn't it please my cock?
President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha. Ooh, those are not. Those are a lot of boos for him.
Fake news. Fake news. I only hear cheers.